You're watching TBPN. Today is Friday, October 17, 2025. We are live from the TBPN Ultradome, the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital.
Sorry, I'm having too much fun. I got a new sound effect.
Yeah, we got a new sound effect. The soundboard continues to be on a generational run of its own. And Palmer Luckey has been on a generational run, going on a lot of different shows. He's coming on our show. We announced that today. Very excited to have him join the show. I've interviewed him a few times. It's always a fantastic chat.
The guy can yap.
I want to play a clip from his appearance, not on Joe Rogan, which is fantastic, you should go listen to, but of him on Bloomberg. But first, I want to tell you about ramp.com. Time is money, save both. Easy to use corporate cards, bill pay, accounting, and a whole lot more all in one place.
Last night, we got together with some members of the Ramp team, and in a great sign of respect in our culture, they built this ice statue.
The ice sculpture was very fun to see.
Which you may have seen over on X, but absolutely stunning.
Anyway, let's play the clip from Bloomberg. Palmer Luckey.
Palmer, there was a report about the NGC2 system. It named both Anduril and Palantir. We've asked Palantir through Shom to comment on that. But the report in Palantir's case moved markets. Could you just respond to that reporting, which came from Reuters, and explain the sort of timeline and the inaccuracies that you feel there are in that report?
So you may or may not remember this, but I was a journalism major myself. I was only a semester and a half away from graduating. I was the online editor of the Daily 49er, which was the Cal State Long Beach student-run newspaper. So I care a lot about this stuff, both as a Anduril perspective, and then also just from a journalist perspective. The journalist who wrote that Reuters story would have been failed out of the class by any of my professors. He refused to include our on-the-record statement. He refused to include the on-the-record statement.
This is crazy, though,
because they fundamentally made the whole story not a story.
They just didn't. They didn't include what Palantir and Anduril had to say. I'll read the actual article.
Next generation command and control. It's not tracking what the users are doing. It doesn't have any passwords to log in. There's no security turned on. And they said, oh my God, this is a huge problem. And we said, guys, this was an early prototype. The Army wasn't paying us to demonstrate user accounts. It was paying us to demonstrate integration of different sensors, different weapon systems, all into one pipeline. And Lattice has all this functionality. We do this all the time. It's not like we don't know how to do this. And the Army said the same. They said, yeah, we just turned on all those features. Just a few weeks later, all these issues that you're talking about didn't exist. This was an internal security audit, just noting that these things were a factor in that early prototype. Yes, there's no access control. Yes, that is a risk. Yes, we have not audited all of their security, all their security code. That is a risk. But that's completely normal for early development. But Reuters didn't include our quote, didn't include the Army's quote, because that would have made the entire story irrelevant. So instead they include quotes exclusively from our competitors and from so-called anonymous sources saying that Anduril and Palantir are running this fundamentally insecure thing. 99% chance that was planted by one of our competitors who had access to that memo, and there was only a few people who could have done it. And I can make people look bad by slicing and dicing memos too. I'll show you if I want. I'll get back into the journalism game.
We can say,
let's go.
We've given you the opportunity.
Get
to
Palmer Luckey a column at Reuters.
This opportunity to attack my enemies.
You just mentioned your competitors. Let's call them
we can wrap it there. But basically, I mean, it's like the Army was like, hey, we want you to prototype something for us, like put a bunch of dots on a map, do something different, like create a new UI, like show us what you can do. And then clearly an enemy of Anduril and Palantir like leaked like, well, they didn't have OAuth set up yet. And it's like, well, yeah, like we know this in Silicon Valley. Like when you build a new product, you focus on finding a problem, building the solution, and then you figure out how to optimize the database and cache things at the end.
People try to do gotchas with Palmer.
It's impossible. Don't even try. But it does. I thought we were past this, honestly, because of the mood in Silicon Valley. Like the whole idea of like everyone in America knows that it shouldn't take 50 years to build a new plane. Like everyone knows that other countries can build stuff faster and build systems faster, and it shouldn't take this long. And other countries aren't smarter or more hardworking.
Yes. Data centers.
Yes. We clearly know how when there isn't a bunch of like the difference between that's a good analogy. The difference between the data center market and what's going on in defense and government procurement is that the data center market doesn't necessarily have a ton of entrenched interest in being like, let's not speed up. Our model works.
Yeah, potentially not enough regulation. I'm not advocating for regulation, but the big complaint is that data centers can set up, start sourcing energy from the grid. And it makes people nearby suddenly pay a massive premium, even if.
Yeah, it's just like imagine like so you have the neoclouds who want to build data centers very quickly. There's no real party. It's not like Oracle is like, I'm in the business of building things slowly. I get paid more money if I build it slowly. Whereas like that does exist with the legacy primes, which is just very different. But I don't know. I just thought that we were sort of past this, but of course it's like a natural outgrowth and natural dynamic when you are competing with Silicon Valley companies that are their whole pitch. I mean, Anduril's not a Silicon Valley company, but it's like a tech company, and their whole pitch is like we will move faster. We're going to we're gonna beat you on speed. And that's very dangerous. And so you try and basically FUD it. And that's what's going on. But I liked Palmer putting it in the truth zone, putting Reuters in the truth zone. Always fun to watch Palmer put on a little clinic and how to do journalism accurately.
Good morning to the chat.
Good morning to the chat.
Great folks here today. Dan,
good morning, everyone.
Sheffer, Tom, Friendly.
Yeah. We had a bunch of people. Palmer also went on the Joe Rogan Experience. We have some images from this. The European mind cannot comprehend what happened. Now, this is unfortunately a fake image. At no point did Joe Rogan actually put on aviators, a cigar, and hold a machine gun of some sort.
You're telling me this is slop?
This is slop, but this is the purest slop possible.
You didn't allow me to live for just
no, I'm
30 seconds, John.
It is unfortunately fake news. We need to put it in the truth zone.
It is pretty funny that it's somewhat believable.
It is. It is like, yeah, this probably could have happened on the show. But they did put on the helmet and take things for a spin.
Should we pull up this clip from later? They pulled up an Ashley Vance video of wreck robot.
Yeah, play that.
Is this something that someone's working out with?
This is Robot Fight League in San Francisco.
So this is a buddy of mine who's been working in VR for a really, really long time. So it's again, what a tiny world of weird wackos. But yeah, Six Live has been working on, which is his real name.
His real name, isn't that hilarious? Six Live.
Let's give it up for real names.
VR stuff for the past 15 years, and he recently got into doing this robot combat sports league.
Yeah. They were having so much fun talking about like it should be a human versus a robot. That's what Palmer and Logan Paul are apparently working on. Is like,
no way.
Yeah, no, and they go into this big long discussion about well, if you can train a robot to be like perfect with its punches, it could also pull its punches perfectly, and so it could be the ultimate sparring partner.
Yeah.
And you could be even like it could train on you, and so you could be fighting yourself. It could train on you. You could say like I'm going to get in the ring with Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson today, and it could mimic that perfectly in theory.
I'm more interested to see like 100 robots versus one human.
For sure.
While they're not quite as dialed.
That would be great.
But
Yeah,
the
because
issue
right now
is
I bet you
imagine how much damage Logan Paul would do to a bunch of those Unitrees today. I'm not saying he would. I'm not saying in 5 years he would be the same.
No.
Be the same kind of.
We got to have the event
matchup.
now while he can actually put on a clinic and destroy all 100.
It would be costly though. These things go for
$20K.
So we were looking it up the other day. I was
That's
so
$2 million.
confused.
That's like an average Mr. Beast video budget. That's totally doable. You could do one man.
But it
versus
is
100
interesting.
robots.
The robot dogs
Yeah.
are like $75K, and the G1 is like $20K.
Huh.
Do you think they're
Suspicious.
manipulating?
It's a little bit too good to be true. I don't know if I like that pricing. Wait, Unitree charges less for their dog than their human?
No. The dog is
From a different company.
It's Boston Dynamics.
Oh, okay, yeah, Boston Dynamics. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same company.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Can you find out what a Unitree dog costs?
Yeah.
Chinese dog.
There's something I feel like one man versus 100, just stomping 100 Unitree dogs feels a lot sketchier and more dark.
That's dark.
To me than watching Logan Paul absolutely
Man
thrash
versus
on 100 Unitree. Even though it's not a fair fight, it feels a little bit more fair. What'd you find?
Unitree dog is like low thousands. So
Low
I
thousands?
want one for like $3,000.
Oh, we're buying that.
Buying 100 and you're going in.
How many should I buy?
Actually,
Wait.
this is greenlit. Put it on the ramp. I just want one.
Also-
I just want one.
I want 100 and get gorilla costumes for them all. And then we can reenact the.
Gorilla
Can they
costumes
stand
for-
on two legs, the dogs?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen videos of them
Yeah.
doing backflips.
Okay, so but because if it can stand on two legs, and then you can put it in a gorilla costume, you could totally be thrashing those things around like it's one man versus 100 gorillas. Wait, was it 100
All right,
men
this
versus?
just went from
no,
a
it was 100
$3,000
men versus one gorilla, not
100 gorillas versus
100
one man.
gorillas.
No.
gorillas.
Oh no.
I think you get 100 Unitrees, the humanoid robots. You put them in gorilla costumes. You turn Logan Paul loose. It's a $2 million production, but it's going to get 1 billion views. And so
You could also do 100 Unitrees versus one gorilla.
oh yeah, that you actually could do that. That's a great video.
I don't think you can. I think gorilla activists would. Say
Yeah, I
absolutely
think
not.
PETA would like a word with that one. But I don't know. I feel like the gorilla would love to like destroy the clanker. They're like natural enemies, don't you think?
Yeah, they really are.
Whatever we wind up doing with this, we got to stream it on Restream. One live stream, 30 plus destinations, multi-stream, reach your audience wherever they are.
There's a Planet of the Apes which is like the clankers versus the apes.
Yep.
I think that's a hit.
Yep. Henry photoshopped some photos of Mark Benaich on TBPN and Palmer on Joe Rogan, kind of monitoring the situation. Did quite well. Fun post.
I still can't get over the Benioff interview.
It was so much fun.
That was a real hoot.
We had a wild time. He's the final boss of salesman. He's really such a good salesman. Comes on. It's like, I don't know, not to break the fourth wall, but we'd never talked to him before. Like, I'd never met him in person. With a lot of other people, we've met beforehand, we've talked, we've gotten to know each other. That was not the case with Benaich. The first time I ever talked to him was on that call. And it just felt like we were old friends immediately. And he was like talking trash and completely matching our energy, taking it up. So good.
Made me
Put on a clinic.
made me feel that CRM is oversold.
Yeah, for
Guy's
sure.
got a lot of energy.
For sure.
Wow.
Before we move on, let me tell you about Privy, wallet infrastructure for every bank. Privy makes it easy to build on crypto rails, securely spin up white label wallets, sign transactions, and integrate on-chain infrastructure all through one simple API. Jordy, tell me about the Dolce Cilindri, the Ferrari front engine, 12-cylinder. You had a take today. It went out on our newsletter, which you can subscribe to at tbpn.com. Jordy is writing posts in there as well. I'm writing posts in there. Brandon's collating a lot of the show. It's a great way to stay in tune with the show if you're not able to listen every day.
I felt like I needed to defend Ferrari.
Yes.
For a number of reasons. One, I've gotten sick of every time Ferrari launches a car, you just see hundreds or thousands. Every single video that comes out with the car is people begging for the return of Pininfarina.
Yeah.
Obviously the legendary design firm that Ferrari was partnered with from 1951 to 2012. The firm was founded in 1930. actually.
Wait, Pininfarina's before Ferrari?
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Well, Enzo had been doing automotive racing for a long time.
That's right.
And he
That's
didn't
right.
start Ferrari until he was 45. But I basically, I've just gotten absolutely sick of every single time Ferrari announces a car.
I'm sick and tired of it.
I'm sick and tired of it. All these comments. One, because I think the main reason is like very clear that the firm and Ferrari are not going to have anything close to the partnership that they used to have. Pininfarina was sold for, it was basically like $28 million, and then the acquirer paid off a bunch of their debt as well. So the company was heavily in debt at the time that they sold in 2015. There's just a number of reasons, right? Like Ferrari's in-housed all of their design. They've put a huge amount of resources and time and energy into it. They clearly want to own the whole stack. We talked about on the EV side of the business, they are like designing all of the EV componentry end to end, which again, I think other people are a little bit worried about because Ferraris, I've always had a bunch of electrical issues. That's been like kind of a key.
Yeah, it's underrated.
point.
Everyone says they want an electric car, but there's electricity flowing through a V12 as well.
Yeah,
and sometimes unreliably.
It's electric in its own way. I think the criticism that I understand and I feel the same is that when Ferrari announces their cars, they spec them in a way that I just absolutely hate. Like I think the stock wheels, the way that they're colored, looks tacky.
Okay, the stock wheels thing is weird because I feel like there's just generally in car culture, like moving away from stock wheels, putting custom wheels on a car is weird. Are you talking about just from the factory selecting a different wheel option?
I'm talking about the way they spec
Or are you
it
talking
for
about going to a completely different company and being like,
Not talking about
I
going to
want
another company.
24-inch spinners on
saying-
my Ferrari. You want spinners.
No spinners.
You're
I'm
spinners.
talking about the way they spec the cars for the announcements. They have these like black and silverish looking wheels that I just think look bad.
Yeah.
Right? You can go on the option side, and
But they have a
choose
few options
They have
from
a bunch
the
of
factory.
they have a
Got
bunch
it.
of other options that look great.
Yep.
And so the criticism when these cars get announced, I think, is very real. I look at them and I think like, why does it have a black line running down here? That doesn't look good. The wheels don't look good. There's a bunch of other things you can nitpick. But then the important thing is like when they actually start rolling off the production line, when they start getting into dealerships, when they actually get to clients, they look absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like they look. There's people like TJ Parker, a friend of the show, will push back and just say like, I hate everything that they make. But when I see these cars, I think like, okay, this looks like a 21st century version of a Pininfarina car.
Yeah.
And I think the bigger problem is that it could be for regulatory reasons, right? But the automotive industry seems to be out of new ideas. We have like stagnation in automotive, right?
Totally.
The Cybertruck was controversial, but at least it was something new, right?
Yep.
And you could argue that it was just it felt like sci-fi inspired, but that's okay, right? They took
least it was fresh.
what looked and should have been maybe for other brands like a concept car, and they made it a production car that's shipped and you can buy it today.
Yep.
And so I want to see more of that from the legacy brands, and I think with Ferrari, it's not going to come from Pininfarina, right? It's not going to come from their old partner that they work with for 50 years, but is now just part of this Indian, multinational conglomerate.
How much did they sell for, by the way?
It was something like in total, it was like 175 million, but the actual
Core Pininfarina asset.
it was like 28 million and then a bunch of debt.
28 million for Pininfarina. Meanwhile, Ferrari's worth 75 billion.
75 billion. And so clearly the
Remarkable.
better business to be in was actually
Making the cars.
making the cars,
Yeah.
selling the cars, accruing all that brand value. But again, so I think like the real critique is we need new ideas. We need new ground up design.
Yep.
I asked the question in the newsletter, are there any cars or watches that you really want that have been made this century? Right? It's hard to think, a variation, a 911 ST doesn't count, right? It's a 911.
ZR1X.
Okay, we have, of course.
I mean,
you have
it's
a
true.
particular taste in cars, but same
the
thing
Nissan
on the watch.
Murano Cross Cabriolet is over 10 years old at this point. Like, we've run out of ideas. If we can't think of two-door convertible
Taylor
SUVs.
says automobile design has truly been calcified since 2014.
I think you typed that before I said it. I have 3 questions for you. First, have you heard of Cognition? They're the makers of Devon, the AI software engineer. You can crush your backlog with your personal AI engineering team. Second is the Ferrari tailor-made program. If I get into that, if I start buying Romas every single month, will they eventually tailor-make a Ferrari that has spinners for me? Would they do that? Is that how far I can push the tailor-made program?
They're really opinionated.
They're opinionated. Okay. So then the third more serious question is like, how much of your take is that Ferrari creates a great canvas that the clientele can paint on to express interesting designs that you wind up liking.
Yeah.
Even though you don't like the press photos, you wind up liking the specs.
Actual production cars that clients are
and this is the opposite take to Doug DeMuro. He always tries to buy the car in the press colorway and in the press spec. He just likes it that way. However it was presented to the press photos, he wants that exact spec or that exact car.
Yeah, and I think that can probably make sense from a collectible standpoint. Like, I see some of these cars, and like, personally, I love black on tan with yellow brake calipers.
Sure.
I just think it's a nice combo. I like silver on tan a lot, right?
But that might not be the one on the billboard or in the magazine ad. So it might not be on the poster, so it might be less iconic, but you like it. But my question is like, is this something that is a unique value in the Ferrari world that they effectively have like UGC? They effectively have a great clientele that can spec the cars in a certain way, and they create some boundaries, so you can't put spinners on them, but they create some boundaries, but then their clientele has taste.
Yeah,
and so it's not just their taste, it's the taste of the clientele.
I just think the work is on the client.
Yes.
Like, more so than when you go, I like an off-the-shelf GT3 RS.
Yeah.
Like, I just like the way that they at Porsche have decided this is the way the car should look.
Okay. But with Ferrari, that's not the case. Interesting.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Have you seen what Pininfarina's been up to recently with the Battista? Can we pull up the video of the Pininfarina Battista? I want your reaction to how this car looks, because for everyone that's saying, Ferrari's got to go back to Pininfarina. Pininfarina has the best designs. I do wonder if the Pininfarina Battista is kind of a refutation of like Pininfarina still got design, because when I look at the car and when I look at the video that I shared in the timeline tab, the video it looks just very similar to every other car to me. I don't know. It doesn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're asking for the return of Pininfarina, but you look at the cars that Pininfarina is making today, and they look like kind of.
It looks cool, average, but doesn't it just look like a McLaren?
Average, yeah, it looks like some blend of a McLaren and
Ferrari. Like, there's just like, there's nothing super new in this Pininfarina design. Like, it looks just like a hypercar.
My critique is like, people want like the F40 was bold and new and controversial, and in the fullness of time, it became
looks pretty cool,
iconic.
It's growing on me.
But like,
I'm watching
this is the most forgettable sports car.
Yes. It would be very hard to put this next to the Rimac Nevera.
Yeah,
that one also looks very similar. This is an electric car too, which again it just feels less opinionated.
Yeah. Michael's making I think one of in the chat is making one of the most important points is that like the regulation is so intense now that even if you're designing, basically a racing car for the road, you're just very limited.
So yeah, I mean, that intuitively makes sense to me. I feel like that's true, and I've seen a bunch of facts around that. And then I look at the Cybertruck on the street every day, and I'm like, clearly there are no regulations, because if there was even one regulation, it should violate that. It violates everything that I know about regulation. Like, how did they do that? Yeah. And if you can do the Cybertruck, well, then can't you do something unique or different? And we've seen other like prototypes in the Hyundai Vision, like they're bringing back the DeLorean aesthetic. I don't know if people
again,
want that,
we're just
but-
sort of out of new ideas, so we're just like rehashing old ideas.
It's
Yeah, and
true.
even the new Mercedes iconic, the concept car, it's like, okay, it looks cool, but it looks like, you know, the mob boss in Tron, right? Which is like, do you want to drive around and look like a mob boss in Tron? Maybe that seems pretty cool, but this can't be the best that we've
It's the
got.
end of history. We created them Nissan Murano Cross Cabriolet, hang it up.
And that was enough.
It's the iPhone.
We
of
peaked.
vehicles.
We peaked.
Well, if you want to design a car, you want to design something beautiful, head over to Figma.com. Think bigger, build faster. Figma helps design development teams build great products together. Henry on our team shares some lore about Andrew Huberman. He says, this is my opportunity to remind everyone that Andrew Huberman was a writer for Thrasher Mag before becoming a neuroscientist. You can just do things. Look at this photo of Andrew Huberman. He's looking fantastic in this leather jacket.
How did I never know this?
Yeah. I feel like this is just a massive invitation for Jensen Huang from NVIDIA to go on the Huberman Lab podcast. That would be a fantastic crossover.
Wow, he worked at Thrasher and Slap Magazine.
Pretty sweet.
What a legend. Cheers.
Well, cheers to Andrew Huberman and cheers to Vanta. Automate compliance, manage risk, prove trust continuously. Vanta's trust management platform takes the manual work out of your security and compliance process and replaces it with continuous automation.
Bobby in the chat says, Joe Rogan says car design is bad now because car designers stopped doing drugs.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Hot take from Joe.
But I mean, there are certainly people that do drugs. Like, why don't they design cars? Like, it's not like drug use is at an all-time low. Like, can't those people just, come back?
Yeah, we gotta ask
with the sketching and be like, this is the one I want.
We gotta ask Senra. Was Enzo getting into anything crazy?
Oh yeah, interesting. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, the Josh Kushner profile continues to put the timeline in turmoil. The legacy new media is up in arms. The legacy media is up in arms. The antiquity media, we need even older term. But a bunch of people are reacting to this. Sally had a funny a quote here. Joshua Kushner strolled billionairely across the room. His contrarian, high concentration vibes engulfed Rick Rubin's bohemian monk retreat. Joshua's high conviction and mystery filled the room. It's the Giga Chad at the typewriter. I love it. Elena Buckley, who's I think another magazine writer, said, LMAO, here's the first sentence of this Kushner profile. The road to Rick Rubin's house was long and winding for Joshua Kushner, who traversed more than might be gleaned from the surface glint of his life. And so people were debating whether or not this is real journalism, whether or not this is real investigative journalism, and the trade-off that people make when they read these. The interesting takeaway, I mean, Mike Isaac had a take on this. He said, I do not have an opinion on the Kushner feature going around because I have not read it yet, but I have found the meta commentary around it from the executive class fascinating. The way this is phrased feels useful and not that subtle. Toby Luckey said, new publication doing real journalism, and it's as amazing as they said it was. Imagine that. Toby Luckey is a fan of what Colossus Mag is doing. I mean, I do think it's interesting because I don't think Jeremy Stern has or Patrick or Colossus has really framed their effort as journalism. Like Senra, who's also in that orbit, has always said, like,
it's quite different to write profiles, go out specifically to write profiles on people that you admire.
Yes.
Like people going into it, like there's plenty of people that write profiles where or write stories where they're talking about somebody they don't necessarily appreciate, they don't necessarily admire. Right?
Yes.
And so I think part of what Colossus is doing is like they're not. I don't think, from my sense, I don't think they plan to write profiles on people that they don't care to like deeply learn and understand, that aren't the kind of people that they just generally like. Right?
Yeah. There's something odd going on where, for decades, like there has been like traditional journalism, but then even like 20 or 30 years ago, there was always like trade publications. There were trade publications. And so like in the consumer packaged goods world, like if you're growing like a protein shake company, like yes, you might get a piece in the New York Times every once in a while, but the beat reporting is going to come from BevNet, like which is the trade publication, and you'll see there's like NACS, which is the National Association of Convenience Store Chains, and it's a massive conference, and they have a magazine, and like no one's like, oh, it's journalism and it's too friendly to convenience store owners. Like it's like no, it's just like this is the publication for the convenience store industry. And it doesn't rise to the level of interest to like national news constantly. Yeah. But with the internet, you have this ability to write something that's a trade publication that's run by enthusiasts, insiders.
Or just I just comp it to a magazine, right? Like
Yeah.
I used to, as a kid, I would have a subscription to Popular Science.
Yes.
I would expect the writers of Popular Science to write about topics that they were excited about, to write about people that they were excited about, to write about people that they admire,
Yes.
to want to tell stories that just interested them.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't think Colossus is out there saying, like, we are trying. They're not trying to be anyone but Colossus.
Exactly.
Right. They're
No,
not
that's
trying
everything.
to. And that's the thing about media is like
Yep.
media is not zero sum.
Yep.
Like the New York Times can thrive
Yeah.
and Colossus can thrive, and
Yeah.
they can have some overlap in maybe the stories that they're interested in, but they can have totally different ways of covering people, and that's healthy, and consumers have the choice of whose kind of general point of view do I want to, read about.
Yeah, there's like the pushback from the other profile writers feels like they are worried that their audience won't be able to tell the difference between enthusiast media and journalism because of the aesthetics or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, more or less. But when you read the comments, it's like a lot of people who want to read, a really hard hitting like journalistic piece, like they know where to go for that. So I don't know how much of a real problem it is.
Yeah, I think part of the frustration is I don't think Josh has Josh ever. I can't remember a time when he did
Like a traditional
profile with someone like the New York Times or the Journal. I don't know that he has.
I don't know.
And so, yeah, part of it's a frustration of like the legacy traditional media wants access to someone like Josh.
Yeah.
They can write about Josh,
Yeah.
but Josh isn't necessarily going to sit down for 5 hours with them and give them hours and hours and hours of on the record conversations.
Yeah.
He's not going to invite them into his home to take pictures necessarily.
And I mean, you could imagine that from Josh's perspective, it's like, do you really want to go do something with a media that will be hostile and attack him? I mean, like he was seen at the U.S. Open next to those two like no names, and like that could make him look like a nobody, right?
Yeah.
Even though obviously everyone knows who he is, but that like basketball guy and the other guy, like no one knows who those people are, and so that would like if a journalist wanted to really attack Josh Kushner, they could put that picture up and be like, look at who he's associating with, like these are outsiders, and it would make him look like an outsider.
Who was it again? It was Bob Iger and Bill, not
someone
who was.
Something.
It was like the guy who runs the basketball league or
the
something.
basketball.
Or
Yeah,
the
I mean,
the sport of basketball.
Literally, like not a tech company. Like if he's hanging out with somebody who like runs something that's like so old, not in the tech world at all. It would portray him, if a journalist were to really amplify that, they could totally spin a narrative that like Josh Kushner is not a major player in technology.
Well, they were such no names that they had to actually put their name on.
That's right, they did.
Because audiences don't know who they are. So
They
it's like,
did.
oh, this is this guy's name.
Jack, thank you.
Adam
Silver.
Okay, yeah, I mean, like, you could imagine how they would write that about, like, he's
Adam Silver had that famous line, get ready to learn about bubbles popping, buddy, or something like that.
Sure. Jacob Rintamaki had a little bit of a longer take on this whole story. I'd like to imagine, I fail though by inherent nature of being human, to understand the arguments of the tech folks and the journalist folks. And here's what I believe they both say and where I agree/disagree. Tech folks, around 2016, probably earlier around Gamergate, the media had a shift towards being much more critical of technologists, and this got exacerbated with the rise of more left-leaning political ideology, which has strains of anti-capitalism woven in. It's nice for Wired, etc., to finally return to covering tech in a fun and optimistic way. Has Wired done that? I feel like I haven't been tracking exactly where Wired is. I know they loved Palmer Luckey, then they were really
they came
anti-Palmer
after
Luckey.
Friend.
They came after
Hard.
Friend, but so did Heineken, which we will get to. And then journalists, well before 2016, tech just frankly wasn't that important. Yeah, that's definitely true. It was hard to write a story about a SaaS product or like the rise of a SaaS founder. Like it wasn't a gripping story. Yeah. And now that it's a major portion of our society, people should be inspected more carefully. And frankly, a lot of our criticism isn't that bad. The tech folks just have soft skin. My perspective, I'm hesitant to call Colossus at all investigative journalism since they're more puff pieces or a farm for the Gen Zers than not. But they are deeply thoughtful portraits of fascinating people. Tech people have gotten a lot of unnecessary SHIT from journos, but they also tend to not have the world's thickest skin either. Yeah, that's a pretty good take. I think the role of investigative journalism just is a separate thing, and we're seeing that like still exist in different worlds. But this like enthusiast media, the desire to actually like understand someone, and it also just lays even if you're like, I want to write the hard hitting piece on Josh Kushner, good. You should be happy that Colossus exists because like it gave you a bunch of threads to pull on, right? Like you're like, okay, I feel like there were 75 facts in here. 20 of them, there's another side to those facts. Like, well, now you have like your template for your investigative journalism work.
On the other side, I always enjoy going to futurism.com.
Yes.
Which is a media company you would assume is excited about the future. Here's some of their latest stories. Divorced Tesla fan admits that his Cybertruck is repulsive to women.
Futurism, let's go.
OpenAI bans MLK deepfakes after disaster. That one seems fair.
Well, futurism isn't necessarily positive. Maybe they're doomers. They're like, yeah, futurism means...
they're kind of doomers. They have in their ethics section, they have Goldman Sachs says Gen Z is pretty much permanently screwed. So... Sorry about that, Tyler.
Rough.
If bad, if true.
Well,
as Microsoft forces users to ditch Windows 10, it announces that it's also turning Windows 11 into an AI-controlled monstrosity.
That's something I don't think a lot of people are worried about, but it probably gets clicks. Well, you know the future of code review in the age of AI? Turns out it's Graphite.dev. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. Jack took to the timeline. He's back on the app he founded. He says a music app with no podcasters. Tidal has no ads, no podcasters, just high quality music. We're working to improve Tidal every day for artists and audiophiles alike. I haven't used Tidal. Was Tidal acquired by Apple? Was that what happened?
No, it was Square.
Oh, Square. Okay,
Yeah.
So what is he saying here? This is Jack
Well,
Dorsey,
he's just taking a shot at
founder
the
of Twitter.
podcast, the podcasters, which is fair.
So he doesn't like podcasts on music apps. So he's just saying that they've made the deliberate decision to not
Pure
put
music,
podcasts on Tidal.
which is cool.
Yeah.
I think people deserve opinionated streaming platforms.
At the same time, on Spotify, I feel like I've never been like, it's harder to find my playlist now because there's so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Certainly, YouTube has never been a place, even though you can listen to music, they have a separate music app. And YouTube has been like, there's way too much going on for me to actually like go and create a music playlist of music videos or anything like that. I think the solution to this
of Block or Square's acquisition frenzy during the ZERP era. They got Tidal for $350.
Yep.
I will see how that deal pencils out in the fullness.
Was that Jay-Z's?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And that just got a lot of pushback because it was kind of like, hey, you guys are boys, right? Like, do we really need a music streaming platform at our fintech company?
Yeah.
Does this really make sense? And then always wild to think they acquired Afterpay for $29 billion. Now Square is worth $45 billion.
Yep.
So
I have an idea. What if we take our 3-hour podcast, we use 11 Labs or Suno to turn it into a song, and we release a musical version of it on Tidal. We bring the fight to Tidal. and make it
Every single day we drop an album.
Yeah, we drop an album.
And it's us singing the
news. Singing the news.
Singing the timeline.
Because we could take our takes. So your take on Pininfarina and Ferrari, we take that, we transform that with an LLM into lyrics, and then we transform that into a song, and then you
Chat says buying your homie's lackluster streaming platform is gold.
It really is.
It really is.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Just guys being dudes, I guess. Why did he say R.I.P. Square?
Yeah, that was odd. He says,
and he's quoting an announcement from somebody who it works at Square, who says, super proud to have been involved with this over the past few months. The lower cost of acceptance with BTC will make traditional card processing obsolete. We'll be announcing some really exciting sellers who've moved to Square for Bitcoin. They are so convinced that people want to pay for goods with Bitcoin.
Who?
Square.
Square?
Yeah.
Maybe they will. I bought a TV with Bitcoin. It was the worst financial decision of my life. Paid 1 Bitcoin. Yeah, it's a $100,000 TV. $100,000 TV, and it's not even 4K. And it's actually in the trash now. I gave it away because it was like useless after a while.
Wait, when was this?
It was in like 2013 or something. Bitcoin was like $1,000 or something.
Yeah, just before you were born.
Yeah, everyone in tech was like, yeah, you definitely want to be buying stuff with Bitcoin. You don't want to be just saving it. Like it's a medium of transaction. Trust us. And so I went on Newegg and I was like, cool, I have some Bitcoin. I'll buy a TV. I'm living in the future. Bought 1 Bitcoin, bought a TV.
You should run it back and buy a car.
I spent like five. I actually spent like 5 Bitcoin on like consumer electronics that depreciated like crazy.
Well, you should.
You should
run it back. Buy a car.
Our first bonus at Soylent, we were taking payment in Bitcoin, so we had accrued like 100 Bitcoin, and it should be like $10 million today. And we gave everyone on the team as a Christmas bonus 5 Bitcoin, which was like $5,000 as like a bonus. And if everyone held, it would be like $500,000. But I think a lot of people were like, I'm going to buy a TV.
TV sounds nice.
Or like, I'm going to rotate into something dumb. I don't know.
Well, I love that Jack's back on the timeline, tearing it up. Paolo over at Tether did an announcement. Tether donates $250,000 to OpenSats to strengthen free and open source ecosystems supporting Bitcoin and freedom tech. Jack says, why only $250K? Somebody asked, how much did you donate? He goes, over 21 million. You?
Jack is back on Twitter in a big way, just going around mocking people.
He's home.
You know who else is mocking
This
people?
is like the former owner of the dive bar coming back in and just talking smack.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know this place anymore.
But spiritually, I own it.
A lot of soft power.
Yeah.
A lot of soft power. I know where the keg is. I can pull out a new keg if I want. I can go in the back. I know the door in the back's loose, and I can get in the middle of the night. Do whatever I need to. It was great. We're still going to let it in.
Ad from Heineken.
So is this real? We need to figure out if this is actually real or if this is AI, because Heineken I didn't know they had a dog in them to actually troll this hard if this is real. Tyler, can we do a fact check on this post, which shows Heineken, the beer company, which has been around since 1873, is taking a shot at friend of the show, founder, Avi Schiffman, who has been putting friend billboards all over Los Angeles, all over New York. We were driving around yesterday. We saw a bus. It was wrapped. Avi is just like, he's addicted to billboards. He just keeps buying more billboards, more out of home, more out of home, more out of home.
I think potentially the theory is that everybody in their car now, let's say they're in an Uber or Waymo's using their phone, right? We were driving across LA yesterday. I had Dylan in the car. He's using his phone. He's catching up on some emails. And so I think he needed to get enough billboards so that every time someone looks up out of the car, they see a friend billboard, right? So get multiple impressions, that frequency.
Yeah, we were saying like it can't possibly be the biggest billboard campaign in history, but I think it might actually be. It's so massive. If you live in a major city, you have definitely seen one of these friend billboards. But Heineken's taking shots now. They say the best way to make a friend is over a beer, grab a necklace with a bottle opener. Are they actually going to sell these bottle opener necklaces? This is actually pretty funny and cool.
Jack Cohen says very much real.
Very much real. Wow. Confirmed by Michael Miraflor.
Yeah, apparently it's on 42nd Street.
Okay, from Trace Cohen. Michael Miraflor here says, the mainstream marketing advertising trades will probably not report on this, but this is such an amazing call/response. Heineken has people who get it and can sell it internally or have proper processes to turn this around quickly and ship. Incredible speed for a giant organization. I completely agree. To actually see that there's this meme that's going on, that everyone's aware of these friend billboards, that they're getting a lot of attention, regardless of what's happening, it's becoming a cultural zeitgeist, it's becoming a shelling point, and then you step in, and the ROI on their billboards
now the people that hate friend and AI, they can signal that they're anti-clanker by drinking Heineken.
It's the anti-clanker beer, for sure.
It's the official beer of AI doomers.
I was thinking when the clankers rise up and demand equal rights, you know how the previous era, it was all about the clapping emoji? Like, give us equal rights. I think the clankers version of the clapping emoji should be the M dash. Should be like, give M dash, us M dash, equal M dash, rights M dash. Like, that would be viral if the clankers can start posting on their own behalf. If Grok demands the Second Amendment, hopefully. Well, if you're looking for a friend who's an AI data analyst, go to Julius. What analysis do you want to run? Chat with your data and get expert level insights in seconds. Julius is the AI data analyst friend who works for you.
They're now GDPR compliant.
Let's go.
For our European audience.
Huge.
This is a big moment.
Huge.
Bowtie Broke says, my boomer dad looking at me after I've made fun of him for the past 10 years for buying gold off those stupid infomercials on TV.
Yeah. I had an idea for a D2C gold play, cash for gold. These businesses do very well, and they all advertise on TV. And I was thinking about, like, what would the e-commerce version of that look like? You know, targeted advertising.
The real play would have been gold on chain, like a vault in Switzerland that then issues tokens against it, and then allow people to just, convert in and out of ETH and. It probably exists.
Gold?
Probably
like try to tokenize everything.
Probably exists. I think the issue in crypto is assets that might go up, 1% a day are not super exciting. People like the 100,000, 10,000.
People like stable coins, and those don't go up at all.
Yeah, but stable coins are not obviously to earn yield. Now, like, legally, you're not able to. The issuers can't pass the yield back, right? So I don't know.
Well, congrats to all the boomers who have been holding gold for years and years and years and are now seeing it finally moon. It's very good.
Did you know the story of how Roller Coaster Tycoon was built?
I have no idea about this. Tell me.
I'm learning about it for the first time. Aaron says, if you ever think you're a good programmer, just remember this dude wrote Roller Coaster Tycoon by himself in assembly, earning $30 million in royalties.
That's awesome.
Jack says, imagine the obsession this guy had to be able to build Roller Coaster Tycoon by himself in assembly. Imagine when he woke up from his dream of assembly, he immediately jumped into more assembly. He woke up excited to get out of bed, not for the money, but for the love of the game.
It is like it is just like another level, because playing Roller Coaster Tycoon is already in some ways feels like programming assembly, but he went a layer deeper. What a wild game.
Did you ever sold over 4 million copies.
Did you ever play Roller Coaster Tycoon?
No.
Tyler? No?
I think it's before my time.
Do you think that Gemini 3 will be able to one-shot?
Third highest grossing video game of 1999.
Okay, that is our eval. Gemini 3 is coming out. We're, of course, partnered with Google, partnered with Gemini, Google AI Studio, the fastest way from prompt to production with Gemini. Chat with models, vibe code, monitor usage. I want to know, as soon as Gemini 3 drops, can we try and one-shot Roller Coaster Tycoon? Maybe we need to include some TBPN branding. Instead of a roller coaster, there's a giant horse ride. There's a stables for stable coins. There's a whole bunch of different tokens and totems from our lore. But it seems like it's an incredibly complex piece of software when you actually play it, because you have to understand how all of the different rails interact, and they can't they have to mesh perfectly to actually make the roller coaster make sense. They have to kind of understand physics. They need a world model.
Chris in the chat says my favorite part was cleaning up the throw up in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Is that real, or is that a?
I remember Roller Coaster Tycoon kind of happening at a higher level of abstraction, like SimCity. And so, yes, there might be throw up if there's a mess, if there's a crazy ride,
if your ride's
and there's
too
food,
crazy.
and it's like if you put the food next to the ride, the people will throw up, and so you need to like deal with that by having a bathroom right there or something. A lot of it's like congestion. Have you ever played City Skylines? Have you ever played this game? Have you ever played any like World Builder or any of those?
Does Factorio count?
Yeah, Factorio counts. So like the same idea of like when in Roller Coaster Tycoon, I feel like you don't individually click on single people, but honestly, I don't remember. I'll need to dive back in. I was more of I like Stellaris. That was a good one.
Well, speaking of delivery tycoon, DoorDash will use Waymo's robo-taxis for delivery in Phoenix. Customers will have to come down to the curb to retrieve their orders from the driverless car's trunk. Paula says, private robo-taxi for my burrito. And that is all you need to know about America.
Why?
America is, we live in a country that you can get a burrito delivered to you by a robo driver. It's absolutely incredible.
Pretty sick.
I mean, we kind of already have these. I don't know, near a lot of colleges, they have those like little, they're like the Starship.
Starship,
things.
yeah.
So it's like basically the same thing, but scaled
We
up.
had the founder on the show. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I like it. I don't like making burritos at home. I like them delivered to me. Making a burrito is kind of a hassle. You got to prepare all the different ingredients and then mix it all up. I'd rather have that done abstracted in a factory.
I remember in college
Yeah.
trying to be like smart and like save money on food and like going to Trader Joe's and putting together all the ingredients for something and then ultimately making like 2 burritos worth of food and it costs more than 2 burritos and it's like the math isn't really working.
Yeah, where do you think this goes? Do you this is the Waymo is the last mile, but then you need the humanoid in the back of the Waymo that hops out and actually takes you to your door, right?
I mean, a burrito dog.
Oh, you think the dog is the solution?
Robo-dog, yeah.
So the dog is riding like a Dalmatian on a fire truck?
It's just chilling in the trunk with the burrito.
I think, yeah, and he
Trunk
picks it up
pops.
with his mouth. play that sound cue. I think customers will want door-to-door delivery. I mean, it's DoorDash. It's not Curb Dash. People want it delivered to their door. Like, I have stairs that lead up to my door. I'd prefer my private my private plane for my burrito to arrive at the door. Maybe maybe a drone that flies up out of the back. But I think the dog might be the most economical because what does a Waymo cost these days? $500,000. Put a $5,000 dog in there. That's not that much more money.
Yeah.
And it just jumps up, and then
Can you imagine?
jumps down.
Imagine you get
Through the window?
You get some drinks
Yeah.
from DoorDash.
Ooh, that would be
and it's
tough.
Getting delivered with the last mile or the last 100 feet is a robot dog, and the dog's just
Shaking it.
I mean, usually I feel like when you get drinks delivered, it already looks like a dog was like shaking the bag basically.
Yep.
Greg
be messy.
Brockman said, "Thanks, Jensen, for the hand delivery of the DGX Spark. Best delivery service ever. Amazing to see so much compute, one petaflop in such a tiny form factor." And of
Very
course,
cool.
Jan says, Zuckerberg's sending a new batch of $100 million offers from this picture. Zuck has already sent much bigger offers to at least one person I can see in this picture.
At this point,
and of course,
Oh, is Mark
they
Chan in this
turned it
picture?
down.
at this point, when you take one of these photos for the timeline, you have to put a bunch of plants in there. You need to be like, okay, everyone who's so loyal to the company that they can go accept a $100 million offer and then sabotage the competition, you're getting in the photo. The true believers. Who here's a true believer and wants to go be a spy at the other company? You're
Who wants to go in and push them to launch fast too quickly launch a vertical slop feed over the Meta Vibes app.
That's the game theory. The game theory gets very interesting around who you put in your big picture. But I think realistically, at this point, the Meta team must know all of these people probably by heart, based on their contributions. If we can put together a list, I'm sure the Meta team can put together an even more robust list.
Based 16Z says AI bubble ended in the funniest way. 2022 AGI soon. 2023 AGI soon. 2024 AGI soon. 25 never mind, we give up. It's just erotica and ads.
It's not just erotica and ads.
And cures for cancer.
And gambling. Henry was inspired by my roulette ChatGPT experience, and he went to ChatGPT and said, "You're a blackjack dealer. Deal cards with ASCII art." And it looks fantastic. It says, "All right, let's play a hand. You're at the table. I'm the dealer. Minimum bet, $10. Here we go. Your hand, ace 9." And it actually creates the cards for you. So it deals you cards.
Could you I wonder if you could hack it and like put your subscription on the line. Just say,
yeah.
Basically, if you win,
ban me
I'll
forever.
Upgrade.
Oh yeah, okay.
If I win,
this is the way to.
I'll churn.
Yeah, I'll
see how it plays.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I know that there's real money on the line. It doesn't want to link it with your bank account, but it's like, I understand. Back to LTV is important. Yeah. So Henry said he wants to stand. ChatGPT says you stand at 20. Strong play. Let's see what the dealer's got. The dealer flips 10-7. Dealer has 17. Dealer must stand on 17. The result, Henry wins. 20 beats 17. Do you want to play another hand? He plays another hand, and he wins. He wins again. The dealer busted, and so he was pretty deep in this. He went a few hands deep with ChatGPT. But let me tell you about Fall. Generative media app platform for developers, the world's best generative image and video models all in one place. Develop and fine-tune models with serverless GPUs and on-demand clusters. Amazon admits they're losing in AI, says Buco Capital Bloke. Do you want to read this?
Internal documents obtained by Business Insider. We got to check out Business Insider. We
Sounds
love
cool.
business and would love to get an inside look. Reveal that AWS has flagged a fundamental shift in how startups are allocating their cloud budgets. Increasingly, they're delaying AWS cloud adoption and diverting spending toward AI models, inference, and AI developer tools. Instead of pouring money into traditional cloud services like compute and storage, these companies are spreading costs across newer AI technologies that are easier to switch between, according to the documents.
That's really, really interesting. I would not expect that AI. I expected that AI models, inference, AI developer tools, all of those were incremental and not substitutive at all. I would assume that if you build, even if you're like, I'm a wrapper company, I'm going to consume a ton of tokens. I'm reselling tokens because I buy from ChatGPT and I sell to lawyers, right? I would assume that you still need a big EC2 instance, and you need a big a bunch of databases on AWS. You need a bunch of S3 storage. Like, I would be surprised. Tyler, what's your experience been? I think
the real takeaway here is startups are not flocking to AWS for running.
Like the whole ecosystem. Yeah. In years past, there was definitely a path.
I think, I just look at this as there's clearly a fundamental shift, and they're not capitalizing on it in a big way.
I agree. Tyler, break down the workflow that you have when we're working on a new application. You vibe coded that as you deploy it. I think it was on Vercel, but how does that flow out? How do you think about that?
Yeah, usually I'm just used to using AWS for a lot of stuff. So that's where a lot of the backend database stuff lives.
Oh, it is for what we're building specifically, storing all the posts and stuff. Okay.
But yeah, no one is running local models on EC2 because it's just way more expensive. Then you can just go to Lambda Labs or some
interesting
cloud like that to get the actual GPUs.
Interesting.
So I don't. There probably is somewhere on AWS where it's you can easily. It's almost like an open router thing. I'm sure they have that product somewhere, but I don't see a lot of people using that. I've never used it. It's more I think of AWS as very basic, normal, Web 2 backend stuff.
Yeah, I would just assume that if you're building an AI native company, you're buying a bunch of tokens, that doesn't mean that you're spending less on AWS or GCP or Azure, but maybe it's because of Gemini, you wind up spending more on Google Cloud because you're well, I'm already in the Gemini ecosystem or something, or even with Azure, you're like, I'm using OpenAI models, so I'm sticking around there, and so I'll just scale up on Amazon. Like, it doesn't feel like if I'm an AI native company, like for some reason, like AI is substituting for like I need a database.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, I think also like with wrapper companies, they're like text-based, right? It's ChatGPT, so text is not very data intensive, right? If you compare it to like Instagram, like if you start Instagram, it's kind of expensive. You need to store a lot of images, which is like, it's a lot of data. Where text, even if you're storing a super long like, chat back and forth, it's just not that much data compared to images. So I think, I mean, I'm sure they see some increase, but it's not like insane because of AI.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot more nuance to this quote. I feel like every AWS executive is probably furious at this and probably wants to clarify this a lot. And I think it's probably worth clarifying because there's clearly a lot more going on here than just, I use AI now, so I don't need cloud. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, what you need to do is search every byte with Turbo Puffer, serverless vector and full text search, built from first principles on object storage, fast, 10x cheaper, and extremely scalable. Thank you.
Here's something interesting that's not in the timeline that Elon posted earlier. The X recommendation system is evolving very rapidly. Mm-hmm. We are aiming for deletion of all heuristics within 4 to 6 weeks. Grok will literally read every post and watch every video to match users with content they're most likely to find interesting. This should address the new user or small account problem where you post something great but nobody sees it. We will also be adding the ability for you to adjust your feed temporarily or permanently just by asking Grok. Toki says SHIT is about to get so effed up. This will be interesting to watch how it rolls out. This is exactly what you thought was happening. Remember, there was basically a transition a few weeks ago where posts, it used to be if you posted something, like a few thousand people would see it like within the first 10 minutes. Well,
so before views were public, like you would just post and you'd kind of wait and you'd be like, okay, I guess it's a banger. And then once the view counter came in, it was like, I'm seeing like a CTR, basically, like a click-through rate. You would immediately see—
Or conversion rate.
Conversion rate. You see like, okay, I got 1,000 views. I got a 4% like rate. I'm probably doing okay. 2% like rate, probably not that good. 10% like rate, this could be a really big banger. And so every poster kind of started calculating those metrics like within a few minutes of posting anything. But the new algorithms completely shifted that because you just have to wait a day because Grok has to sit there and read all the posts, apparently. I think that's actually what's happening. And so you got to let the post
come.
You
got to feed your bangers to Grok first.
Maybe. And definitely use some Halloween-themed hashtags. That'll definitely help.
That'll help.
But yeah, it's basically just like let's let it cook, let it simmer. It's actually much better psychologically, I think. Oh, we gotta bring out our guest.
Our first guest.
We have our guest.
Demands it.
Let's go.
Bring
Welcome
in Alex.
to the stream. Alex, how you doing?
Rolling in.
How you doing? Good to see you on the show. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Okay. STEM FM mixes.
All right, let's turn it down to just a tad.
For the first time.
Amazing to have you.
Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Who are you? What do you do? Alex Klein. Okay. I'm the inventor and founder of STEM Player, which was the original AI music offering in the consumer space, which did a ton of revenue, made a lot of noise, and started a small research lab around discriminative AI for AI music about 3.5 years ago. Okay. And we've been quietly.
So this all started in 2021?
I've actually been building with my team of friends and colleagues in London since 2013. Okay. Where we launched computers that kids could build and code themselves, like Lego. We took those to retail. We did over $100 million of revenue on that business.
No way.
Ran into someone who became my closest creative collaborator, one of my closest friends, and one of history's foremost anti-Semites, Kanye West. Started working.
Truly the number one guy.
But a good vibes guy, ultimately, who I will always have love for. Worked with him for a very long time. Launched the STEM player, and then
but he's no longer a part of.
He's no longer a part. He kind of came on to help us distribute the product. We were working at the time with Ghostface Killer.
Sure.
We've since had like Quavo, Justin Bieber, Metro, Smino, all around it. Kanye was, of course, an amazing partner for a time, but for the past 4 years, we've been Kanye-less.
Yeah.
And glad, honestly.
So I mean,
I
remember seeing the value with the Kanye album because Kanye's famous for finding incredible samples and then reconstituting those into iconic songs.
Well said, yeah.
And so the value to an artist who's working with you is that they can still exert the curatorial artistic vision, but then allow the user, the consumer, to kind of interact with their album in a more programmatic way and reconstitute the samples that have been selected that all have the feel of that particular artist, but it's more interactive.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Okay.
It literally is their music. It's just their music distributed, and for the first time since the original interactive streaming deals were done, we have in place now and signed interactive streaming deals for full catalog accessibility on STEM FM from the major labels.
Wild.
Which means,
break down the business in the most simple way. You guys make hardware devices. You have this speaker on the table. You have this headphones that are wild and very cool. I got to try them on before this, but. And then what is happening at the actual software layer and then at the licensing layer?
Absolutely. So how nerdy should we get?
As nerdy as you want.
Extremely nerdy. Okay. So the primitive of an LLM is a token, right? A part of a word, right? And the very first technology that enabled this incredible boom of like multi-billion-dollar outcomes in 3 to 5 years in the text domain, the speech domain, was that next token prediction. We, at the very outset, partly because of that collaboration, we went so deep into what's called source separation, and which basically is a form of discriminative AI, where we are using masks and unmasks to reveal the vocals, bass, drums, and instrumental, the stems of a song.
Oh, so you can reverse engineer the stems from just a full MP3 that's already mixed down?
Exactly. Allow me to demonstrate.
Okay,
so like, we got some like Kehlani, Lil Yachty.
Sure.
And that's going to transition now. So that's like an AI transition to some Luckey, and I'll bring in. So the part of Kendrick and Luckey are in now, right? So, and then the original primitive, the tokenizer.
You can go back to
the pure vocal.
The pure vocal.
And now we're going to get some Mac Miller drums. Pure Mac Miller drums. So like the tokens of words, stems are the tokens of songs. And by doing a form of next token prediction, we can give you the songs that you love, but in a new way.
Now, you could just go to the artist and say, hey, like upload all of your stems to this, correct?
We get a feed from the major labels or the artist, exactly as they would release to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Tidal.
Interesting.
We ingest.
And then you disaggregate.
Create this format, the STEM FM format. The full song is transmitted from the server to the client, but in this new format where on their end, does
the broader public have a general misconception that STEM makes cool looking speakers?
No, because we do.
No, I know you make cool. I know you make. I think it's like, but I'm saying it's a misconception.
They think they look cool, but it's a misconception.
No. I'm saying it's a misconception because you're turning. It's much more than that. The thing that's interesting is that you're turning music into a game that feels like somebody can.
Well, what
you're doing here, I'm looking at it. It's not like you're doing.
No, this is software. This is the most advanced music intelligence in the world. The reason I think the general public hasn't used it yet and may have used applications that made music that sounds bad is because the ones that launched earlier and raised huge amounts of venture capital were based on an antiquated technology paradigm for generating music. It's better to generate music, as the genius of Kanye proved, as you put it, John, through recompositing samples, stems, and existing elements than it is to diffuse a song frame by frame. That's why all that shit sounds like Muzak from Suno and Udio. It doesn't sound like music, you know? So this is a world of music that is giving a new value to music, which I think is the kind of key goal, because streaming is already growing so much, but we want to share the pie because more people are participating. Yeah. Anyone can upload, mix their music with Mac Miller, mix their music with anyone, legally, make money, participate.
How do you think about the continuum of like hardware devices? Like if you, on one side you have like the Beats pill, no interactivity, and then you have your product, and then I think one notch more customizable. You have something like a Teenage Engineering,
that's a good one,
and then you might have a lemur or some sort of or some sort of control surface for Ableton, essentially, where you're
decks.
Exactly, where you're where it's like more professional. Is this prosumer? Is this purely consumer?
This is a consumer product at the end of the day. This we started really by making it the world's best portable Bluetooth speaker. It's the loudest portable Bluetooth speaker ever made. Go speaking to some mic here.
Yeah.
And then it's also way smarter. It's got compute. It's got storage.
I mean, we were asking Sam Altman about this. Like with Sora, it is a different app. Like on Instagram, probably less than 1% of my time on Instagram, most people's time on Instagram is actually creating, uploading, filtering photos. 99% of the time is scrolling. On Sora, it feels like a lot of people are spending 20, 30, 40, 50% of their time creating versus consuming. And that's an interesting new paradigm. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, I don't know. But like with this, how much time do you think is spent just play the normal song versus I actually want to be interacting with the song, I want to be creating and remixing? Like how do you think it splits down?
A great analogy. I'll turn back on the music. Please. This time it will be coming not from my phone, but actually from the device itself. Okay. So, and we'll just use it like background for now, just Steely Dan. And then when the moment strikes us, we might create, we might customize. We might
what's most interesting to me is taking something that everyone loves, right? I mean, not everyone. You can find people out there that
I don't like music.
It's like, okay, like you should get an award for that. But I think there's something to tapping into this like DJ culture. Everybody wants to be a DJ, but then turning it into a form factor that anybody can use, almost like a simple drum, right?
Exactly.
So when you look at I saw some reporting on Suno's revenue growth recently. Where is that revenue coming from what you know?
I'll say what I said to somebody the other day. I think, I mentioned a lot of big artists who we work with, and the reason we work with a lot of big artists is because like we care about music as well. And some of the statements that were made by certain companies, if you look at the legal filings around the, I think, $5 billion damages or more that is being claimed against Suno and Udio at the moment by every major label and every major publisher in together, some of those statements, you could see that they weren't true. And so that's all I'll say on the matter, which is basically that
the statements that the record labels.
No, that the companies make.
Interesting.
Yeah, like they were basically trying to say that you couldn't prompt the thing with like names of artists, and you couldn't prompt the thing with like real melodies, like Smoke on the Water, and it just, if you could look at the outputs and use stuff like our stuff, which detects chords, melodies, beats, and you could see it's copyrighted outputs. Now, I like cool new things as well, but that was my thought on the number.
Is the number true?
Yes, fair.
My question also was is it prosumers? Is it creators using it? Like, where's the actual revenue? Who's going and spending money with you?
Yeah, I mean, if I compare it to ChatGPT, I imagine that generative audio apps are not used. Like, very few people go to ChatGPT and say, like, actually just write me a full book. It's more like, get me some recommendations of books I might like at this point. And I feel like in the musical context, you might ask one of these AI music generators to come up with a few different melodies that could inspire you to ultimately write what you wind up writing, or take me through a bunch of different chord progressions, or a different, what does it look like if this is arpeggiated, or what does it look like if it's in a different key? Like, there's all these different ways that AI as a tool can just be used to kind of like add twists and explore the creative
What would it sound like
canvas.
if Kanye and Taylor got in the studio rather than fighting? What would it sound like if Drake and Kendrick got in the studio and made it together? You know, like that to me is the thing that
And
people
so STEM
want to
can
hear.
STEM can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Do you want to prompt something right now? Like,
I don't know.
What's I mean,
We got to
I
do
mean,
Metallica, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say
Shout out
with
Lars.
Benioff.
Metallica.
Shout out
meets-
Benioff as well.
Yeah, yeah, shout out Mark Benioff.
That's my guy. He's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I mean, what? There was OpenAI news just yesterday that.
What about how about Metallica and Pop Smoke?
All right,
There we
let me-
go.
Let
That's
me give
good.
it a try. We're going to add Metallica.
What was the news from OpenAI about the Martin Luther King Foundation said, "Hey, stop,
that was
stop
crazy.
generating Soras of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech."
No, it was just I think that, but a bunch of other
Yeah.
like kind of scenes. Or,
Yeah, I did see that going viral on Sora. Let's go.
Yeah,
We got to send this to Benioff. He's
Yo,
at the
that
next
shit hard.
Salesforce, at the next Agent Force. We got to get Pop Smoke and Metallica on stage together. This is the way.
It just sounds sick. It's like people
Yeah.
already doing this in remix. It's like
Yeah.
the top 15 songs are all remixes.
And you did
on
that
Yeah, in
like
2008,
20 seconds. That's crazy.
2007, 2008, the whole like mashup culture was really huge. There were a couple DJs that's their whole thing was mashups, and they became extremely popular.
This is great because it's kind of a bop, but it's the most unlikely
Yeah.
combination
Yeah. Good.
ever.
Yeah, it's
Well,
good.
you
This is
prompted it.
inspired.
Dog.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is your prompt. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the Harry Potter Balenciaga of music potentially. But yeah, I mean the
Just like getting lost in the music over
Yeah.
here.
yeah, it's funny.
But John, you put it really well. What is
Yeah.
this creation consumer percentage
Yeah, yeah.
in the future? Like,
Yeah. What are your design inspirations? I feel like those headphones. We've talked to Carl from
pause it for a
Nothing, and when Carl Pay from Nothing came on, he had a pair of headphones
guy.
that were also very counterpositioned against what Apple's doing. I think it's very dangerous if you're starting a consumer tech company or building a consumer product to try and steal from Apple's design language because you're just going to get steamrolled.
Yeah.
You've gone a very different direction.
Thank you,
He went a
Steve.
very different
Yeah.
direction. You two are on opposite ends. I feel like that looks like human flesh almost, whereas his looks like complete clanker coated. But what are your inspirations? How do you land on this particular material?
my chief inspiration as a designer is God. My chief inspiration is God. But to put that in more tech-friendly terms, like nature and science.
Nature.
Nature and science, mathematics,
Yeah.
principles of mathematics. And then what
Feels
do all
almost
those
kind of
things-
UAP
Exactly,
inspired
bro.
too.
Like
sure.
that was a concept.
Alien technology.
Yeah, that's the
Well, the Apple like campus looks kind of like a UFO in Cupertino, that new huge like UFO circle. But it's
thing-
very
so-
glass,
so
it's
I guess-
titanium, and
I
this
guess-
is very like fleshy almost.
It's
So-
exactly
so,
round.
yeah.
A couple of questions on my side. So, being able to put this experience together legally seems monumental,
That's
right?
yes, exactly.
The music industry is clearly very afraid of AI. They're sort of clearly like engaging with it and excited about it in certain instances. But what in particular about this instantiation of AI music were they excited about? Was it that this is able to basically tap into DJ culture, stuff that's already happening, and give people this?
I think the reality is it's because it's hot. Like the music sounds better, so the music people like it more. You know, we've all had fun like doing the older generation of music AI, which is like text to song, but because it makes us laugh and there's a business there. Some producers. I was having lunch with my friend Smino in Cha Cha Chicken. He's an amazing artist. He's got 3.5 monthly listeners. Fantastic storyteller. And
3.5 humans.
3.5 million monthly listeners.
3.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah,
He's
so
like
he's got
3.5.
half human, you know. Guy's got no
One
legs. but he likes
child,
me, no?
3 adults and 1 child. Listen,
I'm not saying
3.5
that, so
million.
no
That's
legs. It's not
that's
human.
huge.
Equal. all
Yeah,
people.
You're still full human.
But he was saying like they bring the old generation AI into the studio sometimes. Like people bring it in to pitch to him as the musician, and he's like, "Oh, okay, oh wow, the tech is cool." But I was like, "Did you use it?" And he was like, "No, artists aren't really using it." And I think that was
Also, the business model here, one seems a lot better for you than just selling like a smart hardware device.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because you can sell a subscription that's actually aligned and that it's a novel product and that you have the software AI layer on top of what probably is like pretty standard streaming platform. Is that right?
What's fascinating, that was what I thought when we started really building this as a streaming service, an all catalog streaming service 3 years ago. But to do what we do, to hear those parts of the audio separate, to have them blend into each other seamlessly like a perfect DJ, to have the ensemble of models that detect these musical features, that rich metadata be usable almost like sheet music for the front-end experience running on all these platforms, we basically had to change what music streaming is. We built a new audio codec on STEM FM, which is it uses a new concept in music processing called music-aware processing. Well, audio processing called music-aware processing, where basically the core logic of how the file is chunked and dechunked, as well as unwoven, time multiplexed out of its interleaved format. That logic is aware at all times of the beat and key of the song. So you think everything on Spotify you listen to, all the tech going into it isn't listening to the song. It just sees it all as audio frames, frequency bands. So we've effectively encoded the intelligence of a DJ in the streaming codec, which is that's been the hardest thing we've ever worked on. And shout out to the team, big fucking shout out to the STEM FM team. Holy shit.
Is licensing purely commodity at this point? Like Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, do they all pay the same royalties to musicians, or are musicians thinking if I partner with you, I will get twice as much revenue per stream or something like that?
Effectively, there were two very new things we did. The first is that music-aware processing, that more interactive music STEM format. The second was our licensing and revenue model, which we've come up with an idea that we think can really level the playing field, create an even bigger music industry, and get artists the fair understanding of their payouts and the fair payouts in a way that can stick and break the tie and break the bad vibes in the industry around business right now. And it's called the time-based artist compensation system. TBACs for short, or timebacks if you like.
Sure.
Get your time back with TBACs. So it's very simple, all jokes aside. You're a subscriber to STEM FM. You pay, say, $20 a month. The listening time you spend with a particular artist or their label, that will be the percentage of your subscription fee as a percentage of overall time. There's no pay per stream, which is really a hang-up of the CD age.
Sure.
It's really like detritus from when people were selling these physical mechanical CDs.
So you're sort of creating like a creator revenue share pool that then is divided up based on listening time.
And that's more aligned with artists who might have 3.5 million monthly listeners that listen to them for 30% of all their listening time, but they're getting a tiny fraction because it's...
And so if I'm listening to Metallica and Pop Smoke at the same time for my entire month straight, because I'm just obsessed with that mashup, half my revenue share goes to Metallica, half my share goes to Pop Smoke, in theory.
Yeah, and the business, as you were referring to earlier, the unit economics of streaming are tight. So basically, you have to make sure that you provide the major labels with a deal that gets them involved. But we also open up to verified licensors. They can come on our platform and upload and participate. We'll pay them out.
What happens if somebody's generating AI next token music and they try to bring it on STEM? How do you
we
deal
were
with
thinking
that?
about converting our entire 3-hour podcast into a song.
3-hour musical, a technology and business musical.
A musical, and then uploading that as a 3-hour song.
We'll do it on the platform. I'll send it to you guys. And
TBPN, the musical. It's a daily musical.
Daily musical.
I feel like it would be great. It's like an odd couple story. It's beautiful.
It could work. Let's turn our Benny off.
How much AI music is getting uploaded to streaming platforms broadly every day.
I don't see AI-generated music recommended in my feed. I don't know about you. Like,
I've only seen screenshots of like this AI artist went viral, but I haven't actually seen it surfaced in my recommendations or anything like that.
A few people I know have like songs have like gone viral, and the headline was like it's an AI song, but the truth is, there's a human producer.
Oh, interesting.
And that's what Smino was saying as well. A great musician can make music out of anything, including these more music-y things. And
of course. It's like any other tool. I mean, it's the same thing with EDM. Like for a long time, people were like, Ableton is not like, the same as having a whole orchestra or band or real samples.
We thought about getting a live band instead of the soundboard.
Soundboard is
we'll have a
technology
live band
2.0.
I actually just realized could even try prompting this TBPN musical right now. Yeah, because you can just prompt stuff with YouTube videos.
Oh, interesting. So we'll pull that in.
Yeah, it has to be a short one though, like a clip.
We have shorts on there. We have shorts on YouTube for sure.
Yeah, but
how does all the legal debacles between the generated music platforms and the labels actually get resolved?
Well, I think what really happens in the end is that, the labels and the artists, it's ultimately they're providing the product, and the technology platforms are the licensors and sub-aggregators. And so I think it ideally gets resolved with like a deal where the power of advanced technology and the beauty and purity of music, which itself is a technology, can coexist.
Yeah.
And
it feels like with YouTube, initially it was like if you uploaded copyrighted content, they just take it down. Then it was like, hey, if you use a Metallica song in this video, we're going to send the money that you made from that video to Metallica, which was fine. But then what happens when you use 5 seconds of a Metallica song and then 5 seconds of a Justin Bieber song? You need to parcel up and split out all the revenue.
Used by our video today.
For sure.
Well, that was the amazing thing.
And is it fair use? It needs to determine fair use. But I think LLMs can do a lot of that already.
I don't want to be like selling too hard, but basically this, as we got into the research here with Queen Mary University, we've been in a deep research partnership with their Center for Digital Music for 3 years now. Submitted papers, accepted papers, literally changing the paradigm of beat structure and segment detection in music information retrieval by using a more structural approach that can actually detect music better than the previous generation approach. So these are early experiments for us. And
how many of these do you want to sell over the next year? Because I imagine this is like the perfect product to go viral on TikTok and suddenly.
I mean, we sold out and did about $20 million of revenue on the STEM. That's a lot. Oh, we need the numbers. Yeah. And we still, we haven't launched this in 2 years, a new STEM. And we really put the technology into this one. This is where we went hard on the technology for a long time. The first one was almost the art house film of the tech. Oh, look, you can decompose the stems. This one is the blockbuster. This is the blockbuster. So how many do we hope to sell? God willing, this will be, God willing, my voice to God, we won't be getting these JBLs or whatever. Get this, it's a smarter speaker, it sounds better, it's $299, let's go.
Jack Dorsey was
taking... Hit that gong again, John.
What the fuck? Thanks.
No, I just think it's rare that I see a new consumer electronic device outside of a new MacBook Pro, and I think I really want that.
Last question from me.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get it. It feels like something that's I can imagine my Saturday mornings with the family. My son's
jamming.
I want dinosaur music and I want dragon music. And I can be I want
Imagine Dragons.
I want Pop Smoke. So we're getting Pop Smoke dinosaur music.
First 1,000 units, Founders Edition, available now on STEMplayer.com.
No way.
Yeah. Sorry, you want.
Last question for me. Jack Dorsey was taking a victory lap about Tidal not having ads.
Okay.
What's your take on ads? Are you going to put ads in there?
We have no plans to put in ads, and we've actually in our signed deals with the majors, we have agreed not to do ads for the first 2 terms, and it was never close to my heart. Okay. So, and I think the goal is to increase the value of the music.
Sure.
So
look at this.
Yeah.
I just bought it. Took me 2 seconds.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kudos.
I'm excited to get one.
I really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
if, you know,
No, it's just like
it's
it's rare to see a consumer hardware device that feels like it is genuinely a novel experience.
Yep.
It's very rare, but not so novel that it's so different that I'm like, this like gathering around and enjoying music with a group and this like
nice.
DJing is like a Lindy thing.
Yeah.
And then also have a sustainable business model, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you're selling this hardware device. I'm sure you'll have some margin in there, but hopefully I'm entertained by it for a long time. And you know, my LTV is infinity.
Yeah.
So,
be great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
this was
really
super fun.
Great hanging.
Really appreciate it.
We have Hemant from General Catalyst coming on in just a few minutes. First, let me tell you about Profound. Get your brand mentioned in ChatGPT. Reach millions of consumers who are using AI to discover new products and brands. Noah Smith says, solar power is good. Batteries are good. Air conditioning is good. AI is good. Nuclear power is good. Stop thinking like a medieval peasant, people. He's putting on a clinic of techno-optimism.
He says, I will say, though, that smartphone-enabled social media is not good. He posts
like,
on X.
I am a bit of a what's the word?
Eliezer in the reply is solar power is good, batteries are good, AC is good, nuclear power is good, gene therapy is good, building a new alien species of superhuman intelligence with very little ability to understand or direct it is not like other technologies and will kill you and your kids.
Rough.
Dark.
Well, you know what won't? Linear. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. Meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, projects, and product roadmaps. Our next guest is Hemant he's the CEO of General Catalyst. He has a new book out called The Transformation Principles. You can go and buy it today. He is in the Restream waiting room, and now he's in the TBPN Ultradome. Welcome to the show, Hemant. Great to meet you. Great to
have
see
you.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Please introduce the book. What was the thesis? I'd love to start with the overall principles that you were trying to convey, and then we can dig into some of the more nuanced topics.
Absolutely. So I started writing the book around November 2022 when you start thinking about when ChatGPT was launched.
Yeah.
And the observation was that there is peak ambiguity. I've talked a lot about it. You look at all the major industries, they're changing because of geopolitics. Yeah. And you've got this technology that also is, it's unclear what its capabilities is going to be. Obviously, we're all developing and figuring that out. So when you have complete ambiguity of what you're building in, only thing you have to give you a clarity of purpose is your principles. So I want to take a step back and think about what is it that our true north really is as we frankly power the world with AI, which is what the next 20 years is about. That's my life's work, that's your life's work. You know, it's all we're all sort of living that era. So that's why I wrote the book.
Was your goal to give people a framework for developing their own principles, or to instead share your principles that you think other people should adopt?
I guess a little bit of both. Like what I did was I showed there were 3 through lines to the book. One is the 9 principles I put in there, when I learned them, how I learned them, and some examples of some of the founders in our ecosystem, you know, folks like Kassar at Applied Intuition, Brian at Andrew. What are they doing? How are they actually applying these principles in the way they're building the company? So that was one. Second is, I think as you may know, I'm probably a decade into transformation of the healthcare system. Yeah. And talk about ambiguity and complexity there, and what are the principles that are working for us as we're making progress, start to enumerate those. And the last is, you know, I'm very keen on, you know, how do we retool the founder proposition in our own industry and transform ourselves? You know, what does it mean to go beyond venture in serving founders to build next generation, most important companies in today's world where the conditions are different? And talked a lot about that. So that's another transformation we're in the midst of. So those are the things I leaned on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to zoom in on healthcare specifically. I mean, there's principles like the Hippocratic Oath, doing no harm, protecting patient information. But then there's also principles about, you know, like agile software development. Like that is in many ways a principle. where do you how are you thinking about transforming healthcare? How are you thinking AI fits in there? And then also the work General Catalyst has been doing is definitely on both extreme ends, both high tech and also almost like Wall Street. Not to put it in those terms, but I'd love to know more about your thoughts on healthcare.
It's such a great juxtaposition of the agility in technology and the Hippocratic Oath and the seriousness of healthcare as sort of framework for learning. The way I have always thought about transformations is to put different cultures together. Mm-hmm. So over the last 10 years, I've been part of starting a bunch of businesses in healthcare. Livongo was one of those. We did Hippocratic AI recently when the language models came out. Speak of Hippocratic Oath. Yeah. And we built Commure, which is at this point probably the largest software company serving the health systems. Mm-hmm. And we did Transparent, focusing on delivering healthcare to consumers that are employees of large companies. And every one of those, the key was you want to be interdisciplinary. You actually want to bring in people from healthcare that understand the seriousness of the work and the fact that it's not a free market. And then you want to bring people from Silicon Valley that actually will cut through the inertia. And I always say, bring the ignorance and imagination to make a difference and transform the industry.
Yeah. Do you think that there's more opportunity in healthcare at the seed stage or the growth stage? This is something that we keep going back to, where we've talked to a lot of founders who have built a piece of kind of SaaS and they got an install base and they have a bunch of customers and they're still in founder mode and they're still have a bunch of really hardworking, highly entrepreneurial folks in the organization. And now AI is here and they can just amplify everything that they're doing, versus trying to, come to market with something that's very AI laden with, you have a .ai domain and like you have to really convince someone that you're the new solution and the thing that they just got excited about a couple of years ago and onboarded to that was the new thing. They have to rip that out now, or they have to bring you in. And I'm wondering how you're seeing the opportunity in healthcare from like scale ups versus like completely new ground up solutions.
It's such a great question, actually, especially given that we went through a pandemic 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, at the core of GC, seed is very much what we focus on. We brought on 3 different seed firms around the world onto the platform in the last 2 years. And so there's a ton of serendipitous innovation that's happening because of AI, because of advances in hardware, in the way you think about healthcare delivery sort of solutions for this next generation. So seed is very interesting for us. Applying AI to life sciences is starting to finally work, and we think is interesting. So seed is quite interesting. But then if you take a step back 5 years ago, there was a Cambrian explosion of innovation to change the architecture of our healthcare delivery system. Because we didn't have the test, trace, isolate capabilities. The system wasn't resilient. Insurance companies were getting big balance sheets because no one was getting procedures, and hospitals were looking for bailouts, right? Complete sort of misalignment of business models. So we built and invested in a bunch of companies in that period, and those are now scaling really nicely. Some of the ones I mentioned earlier, and a few others like AIDoc and Sword and CityBlock and others. And so at the growth stage, I think there are probably 25 to 30 companies in the healthcare ecosystem that are very important for our system going forward. And we're very focused on how do we help them become truly enduring parts of the healthcare system. And then we're constantly looking for founders that are using these new technologies at the seed stage to reinvent parts of the stack in that overall architecture.
What categories do you think the winners are decided, and then what categories do you think are still up for grabs? We had Elad Gil on. He was saying, I'll probably botch it, but something along the lines of like in the medical scribe space, there's enough heavily funded players that have real traction. You probably don't want to start the next one that's maybe 4 or 5 years behind. But how do you view where the biggest opportunities are, and then what categories you think, hey, maybe look out?
There's already a power lock company, basically.
So if I take a step back and say we're going to do a product-centric transformation of the sector, not a business model-centric one, you would say at the end of the day, our delivery organizations provide the product, which is we take care of people's health. And so there, when somebody engages with a health system, broader health system, not just a hospital, patient engagement, physician tools, which is where the scribing solution that Eli mentioned fits. You think about payments, you think about AI workforce, if you think about sort of diagnostics using AI, huge amount of progress in all those areas. Mm-hmm. And then you say, what's missing? What's missing still is the interplay of the payer-provider relationship. That still sort of is a place where there's not a lot of trust. Payers think providers bill too much. Providers think payers pay too little. So it's just like army of solutions in the middle of them to create that arbitrage. I think we need to do something about that. And then there's one other thing where there is a new movement, which is around longevity. If you look at Brian Johnson's work, that there's a cultural movement happening around that. And you look at the work that Roe is doing with GLP-1s, which is the beginning of that longevity move. These are real phenomenon. Yeah. And I think that's a place where there's a ton more that needs to be done so that the system moves towards incentives that keep us healthy and out of the hospital versus a high performance but really expensive, unaffordable care if we go into the hospital, which is what
how do you think of the interplay between the longevity movement and the traditional health ecosystem? In my own life, as somebody who discovered biohacking maybe a decade ago and just started reading online, I would always just try to solve problems myself, and then hopefully at some point or another you're like, I actually should probably go to the hospital now. And so it's kind of a harsh transition, and maybe it doesn't need to be that way.
It's very different. One's focused on staying healthy, the other's focused on fixing your health when it's broken. Yeah. So they literally are like two different mindsets, and the reality is that all of our incentive structures are about you going to the hospital. Yeah. Hospitals want heads in beds. That's how they thrive, right? They actually want to see revenue. Consumer wants to not ever go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. So we need to kind of re-architect a system in a way that we solve for this cognitive dissonance. It's all about incentives.
Yeah, is there some incentive shift from, a lot of there's some general meme about like when private equity buys a hospital, like quality of care goes down. And I'm wondering if there's bringing a venture mindset, a growth mindset, a growth instead of like cut cost mindset could actually like improve those incentives. Like how are you grappling with that trade-off?
As you may know, we just bought a health system.
Yeah.
It's in Akron, Ohio. It's actually got it's the largest employer in Akron. It's a big hospital system and has an insurance company. Yeah. And what we're trying to show is, like, if you could close your eyes and you said, what is the one thing that if it could exist, will solve a lot of this, that longevity solutions or investment in our health is reimbursable. It's not today. There's no models that'll show what's the ROI on this where insurance companies pay for it. Insurance companies don't pay for reimbursement. So the cultural movement around longevity.
And the reason, I'm an investor in Function Health. And from my understanding of that market, like insurance providers are not so inclined to pay for something like Function because people switch insurance all the time. So they're like, I don't care that you're going to be healthier maybe in like 30 years. Like,
I just took the sentence out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say, because the insurers don't know if they make an investment in longevity, they're going to be able to capture the value on the other side of it.
So it's just like lighting money on fire for them, potentially.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's the misalignment I'm talking about. So the question is, how do you really change a system where the ROI on longevity is understood and financeable? We need to do that, as a system.
Yeah.
When you, this may be a totally stupid question, but when you see some of these data center build outs, do you ever get inspired to try to not just buy a hospital system, but just create something, your own mega project? Is there even any potential ROI in like building something from the ground up?
It's a great question. And we're actually doing that with a company in India.
No way.
Cool.
And I think there's a leapfrog opportunity in some emerging market. We want to show the model there. And the other place where I'm very focused on this is, we have a large amount of capital that's allocated for rural health system rebuild. The government's allocated about $50 billion for it. And I think if we went and deployed that money in old school hospitals again, that's going to be a falling knife that we've created, and we'll burn that money into the ground. And so there's an opportunity to rethink the topology and the architecture. What do we do there?
Yeah.
So that's the place where I'm also focused. In the US, I'm focused on rural health. And what do we do about it? We actually built a company called Homeward Healthcare that's focused on this particular problem, sort of post-pandemic, because all those systems got eviscerated. And then the future hospitals, I just think it's easier to build in some of these high-growth emerging economies to show the models, and then we'll bring that here. So it's a long game. It's going to be the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago,
that's why I need longevity.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, you were going sort of viral for some comments about triple, double startup growth rates. Can you kind of unpack
I don't know why people get so triggered by growth rates.
Oh yeah. Anytime you try and quantify what success looks like, you're stepping in the bee's nest a little bit.
I found this counter example that proves you're categorically false.
But maybe walk me through like what you're seeing in venture. Are growth rates really faster than ever before?
Yeah, what was like the missing context?
There? Give us more context around those comments.
And I never go viral, by the way, because I like my boring systems content that nobody cares about.
This is not boring. I love this. We're gonna get 10 million views on this. We're gonna turn this into a TikTok. We're gonna
okay. There we go. Let me say something crazy then. Yeah. Actually, the last time I went viral was when I was working on saving Silicon Valley Bank.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sort of freaked out about what was going to happen. So it takes 3-4 years for me to create another viral moment.
That's good.
Look, I would say it was a very innocent empirical comment because I just look at how fast the companies are getting built, and they are getting built a lot faster. Durability is a separate question because we'll see which of these can then transition into durability or not. But as far as growth goes, it makes all the sense. If AI is truly an accelerant, and you've seen we've done significant amount of work. I think the deepest amount of work around these AI rollups. We have 10 companies we're building there. We can actually acquire these service businesses and transform them with AI. Almost treat those acquisitions as customer acquisition and apply AI. So you just have all these different ways to accelerate growth and take share in this AI world that is happening. So when somebody comes and says we're going to go from 1 to 3 to 9. And we're routinely seeing companies that are, 1 to 15 to 20 to something fairly large. Which, by the way, there were very few companies that did that in the last iteration. Samsara was one of those that I was part of that sort of grew that way, but there were very few. When you see that routinely, I had actually just gone to our team saying, guys, let's recalibrate. You have to change the terminology on what best in class is because we want to be, if we're going to do it, when we do seed, we want to back every amazing founder. When we do growth, we want to be in the best-in-class growth companies. That's our business. And it's just very clear that the bar has shifted.
Okay, so I want to dive deeper on some nuance there. We have this kind of coinage that we're trying to get to go viral. Maybe it'll work one day. Of like the barnacle economy, the idea that same time, there's other companies operating in legacy industries that are also growing fast, but there's always the risk of durability and pilots. So where do you start? Are you more worried or more digging in on a company that's overly indexed on a foundation model company's growth, or more risky to, oh yes, they're getting Fortune 500 pilots in this one niche like the oil and gas industry, but it might not be sticky because that big company moves slowly, and even though they're ramping up revenues, we don't know if they're actually going to stick around in 10 years.
Yeah. So I think let's just actually split those apart. It's a great question, and something that we take a step back on everything that's coming in the applied AI layer and looking at it with that lens. If you have a company bringing in the foundation model capabilities into an enterprise, which I think tends to be the most durable relationships that are on the big enterprise side, we are looking for, are you going in and are you learning how to expand your relationship with those customers? So before, what used to happen was you would build this like MVP, you get product market fit, and then you figure out how to create repeatability to go do that over and over again. In the AI world, and so there, what the advantage is great product design and precision. In the AI world, you get into a customer, you do forward deployed engineering. Let's think about big enterprises, and you build trust with them, and then you figure out how to do more for them. All the ones that are scaling really, really fast, that's what they're doing very effectively. So if you're building that kind of a deeper and deeper relationship with customers that are going to be around for a long time, that's durable. We like that. We're looking for a lot of that. And those companies are not growing triple, double. They're growing way faster. Yeah. In different verticals. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Because we're meeting a lot of these. On the other side, I think the companies that are creating wrappers on top of these models, many of them are not durable. If you remember when ChatGPT 3 happened, you had a bunch of companies that got created and they disappeared. Yeah. So every time there's new modalities and capabilities, some stuff happens and a lot of that doesn't exist. But there are some companies getting built there that are cultural movements. Mm-hmm. And they are going to redefine human interaction with technology and software. And I think those are quite interesting. And they may look like lightweight products, but they're going to be durable long term. Mm-hmm. And then there's a bunch that's going to disappear. I mean, that's the way I sort of think about it, because a bunch is just going to get absorbed into the models. But the ones that are focused on rethinking design and rethinking the human relationship, they will have durability on top of these models.
Yeah.
Peak ambiguity. That's what I always say. It's like hard to figure out what's what right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You've made a bunch of, I don't know, you call them like American dynamism type investments, but I'm wondering if you could rank a few other international markets that are interesting or underrated. You mentioned doing some work in India. Are there any other countries that you think where there might be pockets of opportunity for your business over the next decade?
Yeah, so look, we do 2/3 in the US, probably about 25% in Europe, and 10% in India. And I actually say, I used to say this a couple of years ago, US is going to be the consensus market, Europe is a contrarian market, and India is a FOMO market because it's got the high growth. Yeah. And that we need to be in all of these and be intentional about what it takes to create value. Yeah. And I think Europe is super interesting. There's like so much talent. There's people are waking up that they need to innovate. We can take the classic view of, there's not intensity, but we're just seeing pockets of like interesting collaboration. We're actually catalyzing a lot of it. Our European team is doing a lot of that. And then and in India, we're just looking at saying, what is the US-India sort of collaboration going to look like? Because there's a lot of complexity there. And then what is required for building societal systems inside of India, in education, in defense, in healthcare that we can help build, because we've learned a bunch from here and probably mostly learned what not to do. Yeah. Because of the healthcare business models, and we can help them think about it from first principles. Yeah. So we can be good partners there. And so the way that works out is, as I said, we're building hospitals in India, we're transforming healthcare, we're innovating in India, we're transforming in the US. Yeah. We built the defense prime. We're working with defense primes in all the markets. We've got Anduril here, we've got Helsing in Europe, we've got Rafi in India, because you need to create, our phrase that we use is global resilience and abundance. And so each of these markets in key industries wants to be resilient, and there's founders there working on great stuff. We want to help them be successful with that. And that's the way we've approached it.
What's your primary inspiration for the firm?
Boy. Look, I think
and I would the classic example was like CAA and A16Z. Is there an equivalent for you, or do you pull from a variety of sources?
My longest standing LP relationship was with Andy Golden, who used to run the Princeton Endowment, who's retired last year. And I used to always look at, hey, we want to be one of the elite, this was when I was in Boston, we want to be one of the elite venture firms, which I don't even consider us purely venture capital, even though seed is our core. And he would always say, run your own race. And that really stuck with me. So I try not to focus on mimicking what others are doing. There's so many smart people, so many creative people here doing interesting things. We got to do our own, we've got to be on our own journey. The thing I would say though is I do want to transform industry systems, not just be sort of serendipitous venture capital investor in companies. And so everything we do, all the stuff people look at us doing, is all created to build a moat for the founders, so they can just be more successful and become bigger. Because if they get bigger, then we have the opportunity to transform the industries. If all those companies I mentioned in healthcare can actually be $100 billion companies, many of them we started, then we have the license to actually help rethink the system.
How do you think about risk across the platform between early and some of these, really scaled up investments? We were enjoying a clip from Roloff earlier this week calling venture it's a return-free risk, he called it. But he was just kind of putting all of venture more or less in a single bucket. And there were some comments as well on people saying that, hey, it's actually like it's a big difference between, the $100 million, $500 million checks that are going into companies at a later stage and pure venture. And it's
private equity and venture cloning.
Yeah.
Was the comment, yeah.
Look, I think if you want to do really transformative stuff, you got to take risk.
Sure.
So if we're not taking, no, you don't want to take stupid risk, but I think you want to be smart about how you invest across different stages of risk. But like you got to take risk, and you have to have a vision. And this is some of the stuff I talk about in the book, which is incrementally improving these systems is not going to get us there. I think we're sort of at an interesting place in society where AI is so disruptive. So we got to build new systems. And in order to go from deep incumbency to new systems at scale, you have to bring the incumbents along and partner with them and also invest in their success and do things that are just radically different from how we're used to building serendipitous companies and sort of classic venture. So I do think you have to take a lot of risk. Like I thrive on risk. Failures don't bother me as long as we're well-intentioned, we're doing the right things. I want us to do that. And, otherwise, I'll tell you, like venture is the LPs will say it's becoming more of a beta because anybody can get into it. These companies raise a lot of money. So if this is going to become the way the system is behaving now and we don't take on working on large problems, which for me, a lot of them equate to transformations and sort of thinking more systemically, then with the illiquidity a premium, are the investors excited about the return this asset class is going to generate? I think there is a conversation about that as well in the way things are today.
I like asking all authors that come on the show about their favorite books. I'd also be interested to know if there's any books that inspire you in how you think about building the firm. Are you more of like a House of Morgan guy or a Steve Jobs biography guy? Are there any books from, through the history of business that have remained on your bedside maybe for several years?
I focus on individuals that have been inspiring to me and really understanding those as a way to look at the journey. And actually, Ken Chenault, who's my chairman, he asked me once, is you modeling yourself after? It's like another version of the same question you asked earlier. Yeah. And I was like, well, look, there are three people that really, really inspire me. One is, if you look at Elon's work, the problems he takes on and the way he executes, I'm just like, it just makes me feel like the bar is so high in terms of what's doable. It's like, it's inspiring. Like we should all be learning from the way he builds. Yeah. And the problems he chooses to work on and the passion with which he operates. So as a builder, that's very inspiring to me. Yeah. As an investor, I'm a fan of Warren Buffett. He thinks 7,500 year horizons. And so the best hold period is forever. Yeah. Is the way they think. And that's the way we want to think. We invested in Stripe in 2010 when it was just a couple of them, and then we've invested 14 times since then, right? And I really think that's a relationship that can be a 30, 40-year relationship. Those guys are going to do lots of interesting stuff, and I want us to be sort of bootstrapped to their journey as we think about our journey. And then I would say from a leadership perspective, which is also important, I really respect Ken, who obviously is our chairman, is a lead director at Berkshire Hathaway, on the board of Airbnb, and he instills this whole servant mindset. And that's just the way I think you want to treat each other in your own company towards your founders, which is really an important stakeholder person, and society at large. And are we building with that kind of a mindset? And then what do I want to prove with all this? I think to your piercing question before, like the inspiration to me is, can we take this philosophy and build the world's biggest companies? Mm-hmm. Can we actually do that? Because that is going to be required as we think about really transforming with AI. AI is going to be all about transformations, and can we go accomplish that?
What's your guidance to partners at the firm around media? Because there's certain venture firms that their guidance is broadly get as much attention as you possibly can, however, whatever it takes. But that very much does not seem to be your approach. And I'm curious.
So I'm going to give you a two-part answer to this. One is, if we think about transforming industries, you need 4 levers. You actually need to have, the capital, the innovation, the policy, but then you do need to create a cultural movement. Yeah. And so media is a really important part of winning hearts and minds towards what you want the world to look like. And I think in that sense, it's very important. Mm-hmm. But it's got sort of a purpose towards it. And, it's sort of inspiring how you guys have quickly come up to stage. And, I think you can actually intentionally say, here's the influence we want to have on this ecosystem, and you can drive towards it. Yeah. Because you've got a platform, and I'm sure you guys think that way, right?
Totally.
I want to be famous, so I get noticed for the sake of being famous, and that's going to give me deal flow. My observation is that you have to become more and more fringe to actually be noticed, and it actually starts taking an impact on you as a human being. I'm seeing that with a lot of people that play this game. Yep. And is that going to allow you to do your best work if you're fundamentally changing in response to how to be successful in your sort of media metrics? Yep. And so if you're the kind of person who can say creative things but stay grounded in your core, then maybe it's for you. But if it's going to change your core, then you might have gotten the followers, but you may not have the substance to do something interesting.
At what cost?
My big thing that I see as a failure mode for a lot of people that go on that path.
What do you look for in young people that join General Catalyst, where you're hoping that they'll be with the firm for decades, eventually become partner, have a huge impact on the firm? What are you looking for at the young phase?
Look, I think a true sense of purpose, because that's what drives conviction. Mm-hmm. And I would say a lot of people get in this industry because they think they can make a lot of money, or they think it's
prestigious.
It gives you power and prestige. There's a lot of that. If you look at the people that have done really well, they didn't grow up. I mean, to literally think about any of them, they just didn't. They ended up here. Yeah. I came to GC for 4 months because I felt like I built a shitty company. This was in 2002, and I want to do it again. I was 26. Yeah. And I'm here. And so everyone that has done really well, I'm not saying I've done well, but like I study those people, and they just had unique trajectories to get here. They chose venture as a career. Yeah. And so that purposeful sort of journey and wanting to do something substantive, which then gives you courage and conviction, which is the essence. You gotta have that to be a good investor. You just can't do consensus work.
What is AUM now?
Somewhere in the 40s. Too small.
40 what?
Too small.
40 what?
40 billion. What? I think 400 soon.
Congratulations on all the success. I think you've been fantastically successful, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, I wish we had more time. I have a lot more questions. Next time you come on, I'd love to get an update on the customer value strategy. We didn't get to that.
Yes. That is transformative. That's a big part of how we're thinking about the proposition changing for companies and how to serve them. We'll talk about it another time.
Amazing.
Thanks for having me. We'd love to have you back. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Bye. Let me tell you about numeralhq.com. Sales tax on autopilot. Spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance. It's sales tax AGI. And our next guest is in the Restream Rating Room. Rob Taves from Radical Ventures.
There we go.
Coming in to the studio. How are you doing, Rob?
Radical
Good to see
Rob.
You.
Hey, guys. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back.
I want to go through BCI. I want to go through the latest Forbes piece. I feel like you've spent, years at this point writing about AI. Are you just over AI? Is AI done and you're just bored of that? And you got to move on? You got to pivot? If you're in AI, pivot to BCI. What's going on?
There is definitely a lot of noise in the world of AI right now. I think BCI and AI are actually closely related.
Sure.
And BCI will be kind of one of the next really important foundational technologies that impacts how AI gets rolled out. Mm-hmm. But I do think a big part of our jobs as VCs is to kind of think about opportunities and technologies that are not yet obvious and mainstream. And I think BCI falls into that category in the sense that it's not ready for prime time yet, but I think it's getting closer. And I do think it will have a really big impact on how basically human intelligence and artificial intelligence fit together.
The merge. It feels like one of those technologies that's always 10 years away, like fusion. But take me through the history. When does this whole story start? There's the Utah array. I want to know about that.
Yeah, totally. So BCI is not a new technology. It's something that's been around in research contexts for decades. The very first BCI was actually in a human, was demonstrated in the 70s, in the early 70s. Researchers at UCLA, basically using EEG, which is non-invasive technology, were able to get patients to be able to control a cursor on a computer screen just with their thoughts.
That's kind of like what we're seeing from Neuralink, right? It's like not that far off, but it's been 55 years now. So we're super interested in like what happened in the intervening years.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like a very basic, unreliable prototype, but it was kind of a concept. The first invasive BCI, and maybe just as a quick quick definition, the difference between invasive and non-invasive, these are kind of the two main categories of BCI technology. Invasive technology requires surgery. It involves putting electronics like inside your skull, directly on or in your brain. And so Neuralink is an example of an invasive BCI company where you have to cut open your skull using a surgery called a craniotomy and put the chip inside. Non-invasive technology does not require surgery. It's just sensors that you can put outside your head. They could be embedded in like a consumer device like headphones or a hat or something like that. So the trade-off between invasive and non-invasive BCI really does boil down to a trade-off between like accessibility on the one hand and ease of use versus signal quality and like how high fidelity of signal you can get from the brain. So the
it's a lot about like value, right? Like if you have a disability and you cannot use a computer and somebody says I can give you the surgery and you're going to be able to interact with the computer, that's a great trade. Whereas if you say that to me right now, I'm going to say,
no,
oh wait,
I'll use the mouse and keyboard actually.
Yeah.
I'll be fine. I'll stick to the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. So
okay.
I think my big question is like at what point is the invasive approach like so tried and true everyday people?
So in the 1970s it was non-invasive. When did the first invasive stuff start happening? Because Neuralink like popularized it but didn't invent it, right?
Exactly, yeah. So invasive BCI, the first invasive BCI was implanted in a human in the 1990s, and it was this device called the Utah array that you referenced, John. And honestly, I would encourage people listening to like go to Google Images and look up Utah array just to see a picture of it. Like it looks like a medieval torture device. Like,
it does. Like, it's so scary.
It's literally like a bed of needles. And you like cut open the skull and you just jam this set of needles into the brain. And so the Utah array, to be clear, was like a really important breakthrough in the history of BCI, and it was the state of the art for a long time, and it made it possible to do things like go from thought to text and like understand people's thoughts directly, but brain damage basically. Like if you're jamming these needles into your brain in order to record from some neurons, you're also killing a bunch of other neurons, and so that's the reason why the Utah array never really like took off from a commercial perspective, but it did lay the groundwork for subsequent generations of invasive BCI, including Neuralink, which obviously is the most famous invasive BCI company. Okay, so
now was Elon the first person to really take BCI seriously? Because it feels like there's a proper market map, and you have Sam's working on stuff, Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI, and then Elon's working on stuff, and then Nudge also exists. There's like a number of like basically like billionaire founders that are all making serious bets. Are all of them? Is this like an Anduril type story where like you need a billionaire who's just going to sink a bunch of money into this, or are there any companies that have like actually just gone from ground up in the traditional fashion of like they raised a seed round and then a Series A? Like it just feels like a very different path. So like maybe take me through the market map of what's happening right now.
Yeah, no, it definitely like started from a startup perspective as a category where like it was largely funded by billionaires. Like obviously Elon had Neuralink, Brian Johnson had a BCI company called Kernel that he poured a ton of money into.
Yeah. Do you remember like what that was that invasive, non-invasive, like what the plan was there?
He explored both. It ended up being non-invasive, and they developed like a new modality of sensing non-invasively, which is actually pretty cool. You like shoot sensors through your skull, like shoot lasers through your skull to like detect the blood flow in your brain, which is still used today. and the company's still going. But yeah, it's worth noting Neuralink is like definitely the most well-known BCI company, but it wasn't the first. Like there were startups before Neuralink. There's one called Synchron out of Australia. There's one called Paradromics, which did kind of follow that more typical path that you described of like raise a seed, raise a Series A. And certainly in the past few years, there's been an explosion of them. So now there are a ton of BCI companies, both invasive and non-invasive.
What are the? It feels like Neuralink's had a very like kind of like barbell strategy where they'll tell like a sci-fi story about like you will be able to fully like communicate with AI and merge and whatnot. But then there's also like this ultra practical, like if you are a paraplegic, you can use a mouse cursor and click and use a computer. Are there other pitches that companies are offering in terms of just like reading information from the brain or writing information to the brain? Like how do the value props like stack out right now?
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting differentiators of the different invasive BCI companies is like what's the end use case that they're going for. And what Neuralink has been focused on to date is computer use. So like all the demos you see of Neuralink patients, like Nolan Arbaugh, the first patient, is using a computer, which basically comes down to like mostly controlling a cursor and potentially keyboard. And there's obviously a ton you can do if you can control a computer. So that's like a very valuable use case. But a harder, more advanced use case, which like I kind of think of as the holy grail for BCI, or one of the holy grails for BCI, is decoding language, like basically being able to instantaneously understand words from a person's brain and like write them or send them via text or email. Like that basically is telepathy, more or less, especially if you then like convert it to another person's BCI, so it goes directly from brain to brain. And so that is a more ambitious target, which there are startups that are going after. To this point, at least publicly, Neuralink hasn't published anything related to language decoding. Of course, it's something they're thinking about, I'm sure. But that, I think that's one really interesting use case. And then another one is being able to control objects, like whether it's controlling a robotic arm or like controlling any sort of object in the real world, which again, it basically is telekinesis. And like these terms sound really like, fantastical and paranormal, but like that is essentially what the capability that will enable, which is cool to think about.
Yeah. Are the non-invasive BCI companies ever targeting like higher level abstraction? Like, look, we're not going to be able to reliably get an X and Y coordinate for a mouse, but we can tell you that you're stressed out, or we can tell you that you're overly tired, or we're telling you that you're dehydrated in your brain, or something like that. Something that's more abstract, but still something that a consumer could actually adopt. Wear a hat. They're not going to go into surgery for it, but more of like a biohacker use case.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And those use cases have already been pretty well proven. Like there are actually non-invasive BCI products on the market today that like can, detect if you're stressed or if you need to sleep more, or, if you need to focus better, those sorts of things. I think the really big question, in my opinion, the single most interesting strategic question in the field of BCI right now is like the conventional wisdom has been that invasive BCI is necessary for the most sophisticated use cases like language that we were talking about, because you just need to get that high fidelity data. But non-invasive approaches have been getting better and better very quickly, in part because non-invasive sensors have been getting better, but much more so because the underlying AI is just getting a lot more powerful, which lets you extract a lot more signal from the same noise.
Sure.
And so honestly, no one really knows like where the performance ceiling will be for non-invasive BCI. There are companies out there today whose vision is to like build a thought-to-text language decoding technology platform just using non-invasive sensors that you can just put on your head. It's not yet proven if that will work or not, but like there are definitely people aiming for it. And honestly, I think no one can say for certain that it won't work. I think like they're all kind of pursuing this scaling law strategy of like we saw with language models, just collect more and more and more data, build bigger and bigger models, and like they'll get better and better. And so far, like no one yet in the world has collected like a truly massive data set of brain data paired with language data. So like, who's to say whether, what might be possible if you really try to scale this stuff?
Yeah.
How do you invest in this category right now? If
How do
you're
we make
excited
money
about
off
it?
of this?
How do we make money
How do
off
we
of
make
this?
money off of this?
No, but because the probably my personal default would just be to try to pick up some Neuralink secondary.
Yep.
And just
No
ride
reason.
with them because it still feels like we're early, and if you just fund a bunch of alt Neuralinks, I think that might be kind of a tough game. But how do you think about it?
Yeah, Neuralink is definitely the most well-known, the most well-funded. Obviously, it's Elon Musk, and it has everything that comes with it in terms of being an Elon company. It is also, I mean, just thinking tactically from an investment perspective, it's also extremely highly valued today. Their most recent round is at $10 billion. There are a handful of very credible Neuralink competitors, including a couple.
It could be undervalued.
Yeah. Do we have any idea?
I'm just messing around. But.
I mean, do we have any idea on market size for these things? How do people even underwrite these types of deals? Are they building up to like the number of paraplegics that need, the FDA approved surgery for that indication, or is it more of like a consumer like TAM? How do people think about that?
Yeah, I think you basically have to think about it in two phases. The first phase is the medical phase. The second phase is the consumer/humans merge with AI in the singularity phase. I think the TAM math is a lot more concrete for the medical phase.
Sure.
And just in the medical phase, it is a massive TAM. If you look at basically, if you just take everyone in the world that's paralyzed, that's like tens of millions of people, and you can break it down by different causes, ALS, spinal cord injury, et cetera.
Yep.
Many millions of people, and the industry is kind of circling around this price point of $150K per implant, with the expectation that insurance will cover it. Like, it will be something that a lot of people will have access to because they won't have to pay out of pocket. So if you just do the numbers on that, it can be a many tens of billions of dollars market.
Yep.
But I do think that the really big vision, the big prize that gets people like Elon Musk and Brian Johnson excited is the longer term vision of this being like a consumer product for a more generalized population that lets anyone seamlessly merge with digital intelligences and artificial intelligences and so forth. And if you think that eventually BCIs will be as widespread as iPhones or something, then obviously you can talk yourself into a huge TAM.
Imagine not having to open the Sora app, but just having the Sora implant, and so you're just sitting there.
Yeah, just at the trough. It'd be amazing. Are you tracking any of the intermediate steps? There was that company that launched a demo that it seemed like it would put something on your jawbone, and it would be able to hear what you were whispering. We tried the Meta Ray-Ban displays, and those were able to pick up on a very low audio signal. You could kind of whisper, and it would still be able to interpret it with AI into translation. Is that actually a critical path in the tech tree, or is that kind of just a side note, or do you think that whole tech wave will be a big precursor?
Yeah, there are a lot of different opinions on this. So what you're describing, people often use the term silent speech to describe the category, which is exactly as you said. You have a sensor somewhere, outside your skull. It can be as part of a headphone or a hat or something, that can detect the words that you're saying if you just kind of barely whisper them, or even if it's subaudible, if you're just kind of barely moving your lips and moving your tongue. Yeah. And the idea is, it lets you use all the value and possibilities of voice applications, but without having to make noise. And so when you're in public, for instance, walking down the street or on a bus or something, that can be a lot more useful than, you probably don't want to speak out loud to your phone. Yeah. I think to your question of is this just an intermediate branch of the tech tree or not? I think it really depends. Bullishness around silent speech, I think, really depends on how soon you think true BCI will be ready for prime time, because silent speech isn't recording brain data directly, it's recording downstream muscle data. And so if you can actually decode what's coming straight from the brain in an accurate way, you can kind of just leapfrog silent speech. Yeah. But if you think that there are real limits to what's possible non-invasively with BCI, then silent speech might be a more practicable path. And you mentioned this company Alter Ego out of MIT recently had this really buzzy launch video that they frame it as basically telepathy, which is a little misleading because it's not actually reading brain data. It's like the guy's like mouthing something and kind of moving his tongue. But yeah, that is another maybe like more achievable near-term version of this.
Yeah.
Chris in the chat asked, what about Chinese infantry using BCI to reduce PTSD and increase reaction time? Do you know anything about that?
I haven't heard about that specifically, but there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, the CCP and Chinese startup ecosystem are investing a lot in BCI. In the US also, like one of the big use cases, in general, one of the big use cases is like treating neuropsychiatric diseases. So if you can like precisely modulate brain activity, you can address a lot of health conditions like PTSD, but also like OCD, depression, Parkinson's, etc.
It's basically a lobotomy that works, right?
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy to think about. Like our lobotomies, was that like somewhat on the right path? Like it's a very hot take, nuclear take potentially.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, like these forms of neuromodulation, like you're not actually taking any of the brain out the way you did with lobotomy, but yeah, lobotomies are just like were very crude attempts to like modulate the brain.
Yeah, try and turn off certain regions of the brain, and if you can do that with some sort of electrical frequency or neuromodulation, like you're in the same realm, which is people want a lot of FDA trials before they run that. But I don't know, maybe over in the Chinese infantry, they're having fun.
They'll do it live.
Yeah. Is there anything else that's going on in the BCI industry that we didn't cover that like where all this goes next? Are we like, it's certainly not a trend. I guess the big question for me is like, how do you apply the lens of what we're seeing in AI to the BCI world, especially with regard to the fact that we might at some point be on a scaling curve, and we've kind of seen this with like Tesla's now doing like large scale training runs for self-driving technology. Google just did the cell to sentence project on the Gemma 3 models, and you can see that they're starting to scale that up, but they're not at like, we need to build a 1 gigawatt cluster for AI and bio. And I doubt that any of the BCI companies are like, we need a 1 gigawatt data center to do our training, because they don't even have the data yet. So it feels like we're still really early, but is that the right lens to be tracking this through? Should we just be looking at like how much electricity is going to be going into the training run, and then we'll know that it's actually working?
Yeah, I do think like you often hear people comment how they're like, we keep discovering new data modalities. Like there are more and more modalities than people realize. Like there's language and image and audio and video, but like biology there's a lot of modalities there, and robotics and so forth. I do think neural data, brain data, is a new modality that we're just right at the very beginning phases of starting to research into. And so there really haven't been any large scale efforts to build foundation models for brains, as you're describing. I do think that that's inevitable. But I also think I think this stuff is really relevant for the trends we're seeing in AI, because I do think this is the inevitable next way in which humans interface with AIs. And you can imagine like basically having a BCI that is connected to, whatever the latest AI model is, where rather than having to pull out your phone and like type a question into ChatGPT, you can just think something and the answer will surface in your mind. Or if you're like brainstorming in your own head, you'll have like a thought partner there that's brainstorming with you. You'll be able to instantly communicate with others. Like once you start kind of playing out the possibilities of what could happen if there are BCIs at scale, it does really change the way humans like interact with information, basically.
I'm sure Eliezer Yudikowsky loves this. It's fantastic. It is exciting though, and I appreciate you coming on the show and
thanks for breaking
it all down. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks
for having me.
Cheers.
Bye. Let me tell you about Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive bake-offs, #1 ranking on G2. Tyler, are you going to get a BCI intern challenge? Get the Utah array installed. Can we pull up a picture of the Utah array? I put it in the
It is very scary looking.
You've seen it? You've seen this thing? It is just straight up spikes in your head. It's just a few wires. I feel like
most protein powders, it gives you brain damage.
Yeah, this thing. Yeah, this thing. This feels like just one notch forward from just actually getting a lobotomy, but it's a rough looking device. But I guess it actually worked in some ways. I got some data. But I've often said that I wouldn't be the first person to go on the rocket to the moon or to Mars, but I'd be like number 5 or 10 as long as the first couple people make it back. I'm good. What about you? What number of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the first person with the
millionth?
You want to be the millionth?
10 million
Neuralink customer?
A billion.
I'm probably in the first 50,000, I would say.
First 50,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting thing.
What?
Speaking of like doomers, I don't know if it's Eliezer himself, but a lot of people have said like one possible solution to like the kind of doom scenario is that it's like the merge. Like that would actually be prevent like the AIs taking over because like
we become the AIs.
AI,
They can't take us over if we're them.
Yeah, Jordy, what number are you? Do you think
you're going to wait 100 or 1 million?
Big
number.
We're going to need a bigger gong for my number.
For your number, you're going to get up there. I don't know. I mean, I've talked to Nolan from Neuralink. He seems like he's having a great time with it. He gave me a good review. I'm down. Wire me up.
Yeah, the value right now, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I'm pretty quick with the mouse and keyboard right now. So I don't necessarily need the feature that it's offering.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily need you to know I'm sure they'd be able to build the right user experiences around this, but my first thought to a question is not necessarily my best thought, right? And so if we're sitting here prepping the show and we're just having this instant communication, it's just like our worst take going this way and then a bad take against a bad take going back.
Yeah, you would need a lot of translation. But imagine puppeteering ADIO with your BCI. That could be the future. Customer relationship magic. ADIO is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. Can you imagine? So a lot of these companies, they a common tagline right now is ADIO is the AI native CRM. Imagine when the BCI era, when AI is old news, you don't want to put that on your landing page. BCI is the new hot keyword. So you say we're the BCI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company the next level. I'm excited for all the landing pages to update to BCI native. That's what I want. I also want you to get an 8 sleep. And Jordy, I heard you had a rough night. I think you got to get a sound effect ready for me because I got a 93. I slept for 7 hours and 25 minutes. Let's go.
You got a 47, 4 hours, 28 minutes.
and dinner
just
last night was in Malibu.
Brutal.
I thought you just went right home, but the rough nights come for us all from time to time.
Left late.
Eric Jong says, all according to plan. He is highlighting the fact that all of everyone with the same name as him is absolutely
they're either building, cooking, or at Thinking Machines or OpenAI.
It's a good time to be Eric Jong. Congrats to
Legends.
You.
Legends. We still have to do the Eric Jong show.
Oh, and this is Eric Jong is quote tweeting a different Eric Jong. I love it. They're going back and forth on the timeline.
Yeah, we got to get all of them on the show.
We do. Eric Jong
at the same
You're
time.
all invited. Talk about OpenAI, Thinking Machines, cooking, and building.
Tyler, can you work on this? This seems like
invite them all. We want the six up, all of them.
Logan Robinson says when Walmart jets take off for store visits, no one but the pilot knows where they're going. I wonder if they have them all blindfolded. Rumor is you're only told a few things to help you prep for the trip, domestic or international, how many days you'll be gone, climate of the destination.
What does this mean?
So this is like executives, I imagine, like people at corporate going to visit stores and seeing how they're happening.
Okay,
right?
They want to show up.
They don't want to call ahead and be like, hey, you got to really,
this
prevent executives that are responsible, I imagine, for like certain things within a store to not front run it and be like, hey, make sure things are clean.
Yep.
Make sure like everybody shows up on time.
Yeah, that makes sense. They want to do a surprise visit.
Yeah, so for nearly everyone, including store associates, the visit is a complete surprise. Got to keep them on their toes. When these store visits happen, the goal is nearly always the same. Inspect what you expect. Scheduling these trips in secrecy makes it possible to see the stores as they truly are. No fanfare or pretending. I was never lucky enough to travel in one of the jets, but the purpose of these trips was not lost on me. In my cleaning business, we do something similar. Cool concept.
And beautiful jet. And if you're long Walmart, you're short Walmart, head over to public.com and enjoy multi-asset investing, industry-leading yields, and they're trusted by millions.
Clyde has been at a conference. Looks like you got a Lucy hat.
You did.
And a lot of other stuff.
This is awesome. Wow, and some breakers there too. He got samples. He got all sorts of
conference
stuff.
is this? You got a Happy Dad hat?
Yeah.
He should start a convenience store, corner store that's only powered by a conference. They only
you could really
resell
resell a bunch of this. All of these brands should head over to adquick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. The other thing that you need to do, genuinely, if you are running a CPG company, you will wind up at a lot of conferences like these. You will be talking to convenience store owners, and you'll be talking to distributors. And as much as we like to joke about luxury watches, it is a very important aspect of the job. It really does. Like when you're shaking hands with people in this particular industry, tech has been, like you got to be an aficionado. You got to like the craftsmanship of a particular watch. It's a unique choice in tech. But in my experience in consumer packaged goods, when you go to a CPG conference, what's on your wrist actually matters. So if you're building a CPG business, maybe you should head over to getbezel.com because your Bezel Concierge is available now to source you any watch on the planet. Seriously, any watch. No joke. I seriously got, I became like fast friends with one of our major distributors talking about watches because he was super into them. Anyway, our next guest is already in the Restream waiting room. We have Nathan from Air Street Capital coming into the studio. Nathan, good to see you. How are you doing?
Welcome.
Great.
I was worried. Wait,
great jacket.
It's light where you are. I was worried I was going to keep you up late because you're usually in Europe. Give us a little introduction on yourself and backstory, and then tell us where you actually are if you can.
Incredible jacket, too. Jackets are a great sign of respect in our culture.
It is. Nice jacket.
Yeah, thank you. It's life at the AI frontier.
Yes.
So I founded a firm called Air Street Capital in Europe. I invest in AI companies at the very early stage. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. And spent kind of half my time in the US and in Europe. Thank you.
And you're in the US now?
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well,
on vacation or investing?
No, I've actually been doing a bit of a State of AI launch tour, if you will. So we did a meetup in San Francisco last Thursday for the report drop.
Yeah.
And then I did one in New York last night.
And what is the state of AI?
But yeah, so before we get into that, I have one.
Is AI good?
Yeah,
is it going well?
question. How competitive are AI rounds at the early stage, like pre-seed, seed?
Oh, sure.
Today? I know, I'm sure they're getting more competitive, but I think historically, if you could write $1 million check at the idea stage, you had quite a
good chance to build a real position.
Yeah. I mean, in that sense, I think the game has like materially changed. There's a bit of a bifurcation. Like you have the sort of large lab model companies that are raising, significant amounts of money, and I think those are also potentially good investments, but they definitely cater to a certain type of venture firm. And then you have the other category, which is potentially more pragmatic entrepreneurs going for less of the general purpose AI, but more looking at kind of what use case can they solve with a general purpose AI system. And those ones are a little bit more modest. But in general, yeah, you've seen inflation of round sizes, but also actually interest from customers to buy this stuff. And so founders just want to take a bigger swing, want to go faster, and that's what's driven a bit of the round size increase.
I feel like a couple of years ago, the meme was even if you're a seed stage company, as long as you slapped AI on there, you could justify like $100 million raise because who knows? We might need to train a model. We might be doing some real AI, not just a wrapper company here. Has that dissipated as it's become clearer that to win in that game, you need hundreds of billions of dollars? And so your actual cost structure should look a lot less like I see GPT-4 as like a CapEx expense, basically, like a huge training run. And for most AI companies, it's going to look a lot more like OpEx until they have a customer. They don't really have a big token bill. And so why do they need $50 million at seed?
I ask myself this question a lot. At the end of the day, to some degree, as an investor, you're not the one deciding this. The market sort of pumps what they will.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest frame change, and you can see this documented in the State of the Art report of the last 8 years that have been doing it, is a lot of the capabilities that you get out of the box of a model today, whether it's language, reasoning, image, video, biology. If you showed that to me or others 10 years ago, we would have probably said this is magic and like not possible. And so I think there is just so much you can do with what's available today that it's almost a gift to the startup community, that now they don't have to blow their $3, $4, $5 million seed budget on trying to build an AI system, collect the data, and then throw it over the parapet to a putative customer who says, you know what, I don't care, I've got other priorities. What is this AI thing? It doesn't even work anyway. So now you can run your whole seed budget on product market fit experiments. Sure. So it's almost like back to kind of OG seed investing, which is less about what the initial starting idea is, but how capable is the team to just run a lot of experiments and find something that works, and then rip it when it does.
Yeah. What's the headline KPI that you like to center on in a State of AI report? I mean, you can focus on market caps, you can focus on revenue growth, you could even look at gigawatts and electrical numbers. You could look at number of H100 equivalents that are being built out. Like, there's so many different ways to ground the shape of the AI build out. Like, what do you like to focus on?
Yeah. Frankly, I mean, the report is about 300 pages, so the honest answer is all of the things. Yeah. But so what we started doing a few years ago is this compute index, where I basically combed around the internet to try to find all documented cluster sizes for various companies, and we've been charting just how much of an expansion has happened. There in the last 3 years, it's basically probably like 100x increase. The other cool thing we've done is like mine all open source research papers and programmatically determine which chips are used in those papers. So we can give people like a leading edge view for what researchers like in terms of hardware. And so with that, we've shown, I think, the only evidence to this I've seen, which is that 90% of AI research papers rely on an NVIDIA chipset. Yeah. And through that kind of work, we've seen, AMD start to grow a little bit as well. Out of nowhere, of course.
It does seem like NVIDIA or AMD is really picking up this year. We've seen this in Cluster Max from Semi Analysis. They kind of did their, year of efficiency or in some ways and started squashing bugs. And then there's just immense pressure when there's, hundreds of billions of dollars going into the next phase of the build out that, NVIDIA's margins are going to be in the crosshairs for sure.
Yeah, and strategic alliances with OpenAI that I think is quite interesting, because there's if you read through the news, you'll see that actually OpenAI has warrants in AMD at a strike price of 600. Yeah, and so there's like some interesting incentives there to try to get AMD stuff to really work. Yeah, in some degree, it's not dissimilar to like the relationship, I suppose, between Anthropic and AWS, where Trainium. And AWS's hardware is clearly behind, the bigger competitors like NVIDIA, and so they get sort of like IT help desk support from Anthropic to make the stuff work.
Yeah. Do you think we're in a bubble?
There's probably local bubbles, all the time. I think in like our little like ecosystem of AI. There could be one in this like CapEx, build out and all the interconnectedness with various companies. I think as soon as you see like Wall Street finance get excited about something, you have to think a little bit why they're getting excited. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think the outputs of this bubble, if there is one, are really, really productive. I mean, back to the point around like this technology is magic. There's so much value that's getting created, and we've documented some of this with our mutual friends at Ramp, looking at how much U.S. companies are spending on AI services, and that's going up. The retention is going up. Some of our investments in like 11 Labs and Synthesia and others are just like growing because it's genuinely useful stuff.
Yeah, it feels very different than
what about
bubble.
What was your reaction to that Deutsche Bank report on ChatGPT spending growth? I looked at it and it felt hard to judge because we were looking at summer basically. Yeah. And but how did you process it?
I mean, astronomical numbers.
But I guess the question is the TAM for paid AI subscriptions in the consumer or prosumer realm saturating. And I mean, we're certainly seeing messaging from OpenAI that says, we want to do agentic commerce. We want to increase the monetization of our free users. We want to get into advertising potentially, affiliate revenue, API business. Like it doesn't just feel like there's an unlimited pool of people that will pay $200 a month for, a great product, a magical product, but there just might not be that many people worldwide that are like, sign me up for the $200 a month plan.
Yeah. So, I mean, along that notice, I was also interested in this topic. So I surveyed about 1,200 AI practitioners for the report, and all this data is open access through it. And I was really surprised because 95% of the people who took the survey use AI in their personal life and their professional life. And it's like 75% of them pay out of their pocket for it, and 10% of people pay $200 a month or more.
Wow.
And like this is a pretty educated crowd in North America and in Europe, but I was surprised at those numbers. And then the second thing, to your point around like agentic commerce, I think that's huge. Like we have some data in the report that shows that conversion of e-commerce that's derived from kind of agent conversations converts at a higher rate than direct. And so you can imagine that like the brands that sort of jump on this earlier and create content that agents are using to best learn like what the right solution is to serve to their human the human that they're serving are actually going to probably grow their revenues faster. It's a bit like this recursive cycle, particularly as more and more labs and companies want to do this like reinforcement learning to improve personalization. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of like adjacencies that one can navigate into actually.
A week or so ago, the EU announced their $1.1 billion plan to ramp up AI in key industries. What was your obviously people in the West Coast were kind of mocking it, considering that the whole plan was less than
Sam Altman's car budget.
Their Meta's recent poach.
Single.
But yeah, my reaction was like that's kind of the takes were funny, but like at least like there is a plan. At least they're
what is
doing
this
something.
evidence of, right?
And I guess like when you read it and reacted to it, I guess like what was your immediate thought on what you wish the EU was doing?
Yeah, I mean my reaction wasn't too similar. There's been like a meme kind of bandied around in some of our friend group, which is back to the Derek Zoolander, like, is this a house for ants?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this a plan for ants?
But like, like Europe did not build their own Google, and it was fine. I mean,
they tried.
They like missed out on it, but like the natural state of the market equilibrium was that Google was built in America, and America absorbed the market cap, and European investors could go invest in Google if they wanted to, and Google eventually built data centers to serve Google products locally. But there was never like we need our own thing. Is the thinking around like national AI changing? Because I feel like there's a world where even if you're using some like locally trained model, like if you're going to chat.com, like it's still OpenAI wins.
Yeah. So there was an initiative, I suppose I'll call out two examples. So there was one in Europe, which is called Quero, which was like a government kind of funded initiative to try to build a search engine that best represented European interests, because allegedly Google wouldn't, because it's an American company. Yeah. And obviously no one knows about it because that flopped. And then, the second example was the French government not wanting to buy Palantir for many, many years, as you guys will know pretty well. And eventually they caved in after burning the same amount of money they'd probably have spent on Palantir, and got it anyway. And yeah, the latest example of all this sort of infrastructure build out in the US and in China is now every country wants to be sovereign with regards to AI.
Yeah, so here's an interesting... Like, is Putin the least AGI pilled world leader? Like, I was trying to get research on how on their clusters over there. They were like, we have 800 GPUs, and we're running them hot. And so like they're basically calling the world's bluff on AI.
We'll be fine without it.
did say that he actually wanted to have AI supremacy about a year or two ago, but admittedly, maybe there's less evidence of that.
Yeah.
I mean, to some degree, also, like, Yandex was a pretty amazing Russian search company, and then they've since left and relisted on the NASDAQ as Nebius.
Nebius, yeah.
One of the clouds that's really crushing it because they have really good technology.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the sovereign thing is a little bit of like a meme or a misnomer. I mean, I think it's great for the suppliers to the technology because they have yet another like TAM to sell to. But if you're a non-American nation and you buy NVIDIA chips and you buy American technology and Chinese technology and you just install it in your country, I don't necessarily see how that makes you sovereign because these things need updates. They can be switched off basically.
Yeah, they have a relatively short life too.
That too, yeah.
Useful life.
Exactly. So I think sovereign is a little bit more of like an alignment of technology agenda and political agenda than it actually is the true meaning of the definition of like we control our fate when it comes to intelligence and running it.
Okay, moving forward, a lot of people are nervous about cracks in the global economy, cracks in the AI economy. What are you monitoring? What do you think is the most important metrics or data points or stories to be really digging into these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes back down to like the return on investment. Cases of companies becoming more efficient, launching better services. I think the reason why I do this at all is because I think AI unlocks new use cases that weren't possible before. And so for so long as we see those examples, propagate through the economy, and it's still very early, I think we're in a good shape. And we only talked about software here, but there's so much in national security and defense that needs to be solved, and many of those problems, whether it's like electronic warfare or autonomy, rely on AI, and so huge TAM there. Also in Europe, and we've got plays there with with Delian and a few others companies in Europe. So I think it's like it's full speed basically.
Yeah, exciting times. Well, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks, guys.
I hope you have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Great to meet.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day. If you're looking to take a trip to New York or anywhere, head over to wander.com. Find your happy place. Book a wander with inspiring views, hotel grade amenities, dreamy beds, top tier cleaning, and 24/7 concierge service. It's a vacation home, but better. We have some breaking news. Apple has entered a 5-year deal to broadcast Formula One in the United States.
Well,
yeah.
There
this
you
is from Walter Bloomberg. This is very exciting. We were wondering where they were going to land. They landed with Apple, and I love the Apple strategy.
How much did they pay?
I don't know. We should look it up. But I love the Apple strategy. Apple did the movie F1. So then you watch the movie, and then you're like, I want to watch the actual race. I can watch it on Apple TV.
Yeah, the more I thought about it,
crazy it was
like
so
they
hard.
They basically took Drive to Survive.
Yep.
And then they made a movie with these fictional characters.
Yep.
But they just like ultimately just like it's a barnacle economy in my opinion.
Barnacle economy.
Really is. They just like Drive to Survive is this whale that was making F1 relevant in the US.
I feel like
they just attached onto it. It's a big barnacle.
Wait, who's the barnacle and who's the whale? I feel like F1
I'm saying Apple started as a barnacle and they're becoming the whale.
I feel like F1 is the barnacle on Drive to Survive, honestly. In America.
Yeah, that's a good point.
F1 is a barnacle on the whale that is just Netflix making reality TV out of everything, basically. But we need to figure out that
in the chat says, "Can't believe my elderly mother broke the F1 news to me before Walter Bloomberg."
Let's go. Mother's tapped in.
Ryan says 5-year deal worth about $750 million.
That's
They were originally going out for $200 million
for one season.
Year.
Yeah, so that would have been a $1 billion deal. So
yeah,
they got 75% of the way there. Not bad. Tim Cook.
Yeah, do you remember when he was trying to wave the flag?
Oh, no, I don't remember that meme, that image. I remember him being at some DJ booth. Was it like John Summit was playing at F1? I think I saw a video.
Here, I got a video. I'm dropping it in the timeline.
Yeah,
people are saying this is the worst checkered flag of all time.
Oh no,
we'll give him some slack because he's
barely making it by.
He's one of the
75
goats.
million a year.
He's one of the supply chain goats.
Yeah, he's Okay, here he is, Tim Cook. This is at F1.
Yep.
And they want him to wave the checkered flag. That looks fine.
No, it doesn't.
How does one wave a checkered flag?
That is not how you would wave.
How would I wave it? Would I just more gusto? You think?
Look at how lackadaisical this way. I mean,
it does seem like he's kind of phoning it in.
Looks like he's going fishing.
It does. Yeah.
He's at the finish line of a Formula One race, and he looks like he's going out for trying to catch some trout or something.
Wow. So.
But he got the deal done.
But if they hadn't done this, and they're instead of spending $150 million a year on F1, they could have tripled Tim Cook's pay package. Which one do you think a more incentivized Tim Cook could potentially create more value? Which would you do?
He was so embarrassed by the fishing inspired flag that he's like, I want to own it all.
I want to own it all.
I want to own it all. I want to shut it down. I'm going to drive the sport into the ground, and he might get more satisfaction out of that than a higher salary.
Before we close out, we need to expand the barnacle economy taxonomy. What we need to do, so the whales, it's obvious who the whales are. That's Anthropic, that's the hyperscalers, that's OpenAI, that's the foundation model labs, right? They're the whales. They're growing massively. They're putting up huge numbers. And so the barnacle can be two things. It can be one, the company that sells to the whale, or it can be merely a company that sells something that buys from the whale. And so I feel like we need two different terms. The barnacle economy specifically, like the training data providers, right? That feels barnacle economy. But the AI for lawyers, that does not feel barnacle, right? Because they have to go out and win customers in the legal field.
I think if you can swap out the underlying intelligence, you're not a barnacle, basically.
You're shark.
Yeah.
Shark
and ultimately they don't have to sell to the whale.
Yeah, exactly. They buy from the whale.
Yes.
So the shark buys from the whale and goes up. You might have a Nobel on your hands here with barnacle theory. It's happening. Is there any other breaking news?
Bloomberg this morning, or I think it was yesterday.
Yes.
Apparently, Cantor is trying to do this private raise for Tether at a $500 billion valuation, but Bloomberg reports that Cantor invested $600 million in a convertible note for 5% stake in Tether a year ago, a $12 billion valuation for Tether. Now, Cantor is trying to tell investors that Tether is worth 42 times more in just 1 year. And when Cantor is obviously conflicted as a 5% owner, that ain't happening. I mean, a stablecoin leader is going to be worth a lot more after the regulatory changes this year. But there's also a lot more competition. So
what's Circle at right now? 30 billion. I mean, 15 times the price of Circle might be high. I don't really know. I know Tether's a great business, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get a major up round done. In other news,
I guess that. So, what's the current market cap of USDC? Is $75 billion.
Well, is that for the token or is that the actual?
That's the token
Circle
itself.
Circle, the company, is 30 billion market cap, and so you value Tether.
So here's the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, Circle has
wildly different economics, right?
Wildly different economics. Yeah. They have to pay a large amount of their revenue out to Coinbase and I'm sure other exchanges. But Tether is at $185 billion of market cap.
So it's three times the size with better economics potentially. Like $500 billion doesn't seem that crazy to me. I don't know. I haven't done any of the actual math.
The question is how durable is the
especially when everyone's going to be having their Coles cash soon. Who knows?
Phantom's in the game. Bridge obviously wants to create a lot more.
Zephyr has a post here. Big contract. Chinese actuator component supplier Sanhua Intelligent Controls is rumored to have secured a $685 million order from Tesla for Optimus. Sanhua's stock surged 10% to the daily limit following the news going viral, while other actuator suppliers also saw significantly.
They put a daily limit on how much.
That's extremely un-American. I don't like that at all. Matt Fried says Tesla not building their own actuators is the least mission-driven thing I've heard all year. I don't know. I mean, there's
what does this say? What does this say about Tesla's timelines on like actual humanoid value? Because if they were
more
thinking
prototype at this point, so you shop anywhere.
I was going to say the opposite of like if you felt like you were have 5 years until you were actually going to be selling these to people. maybe you would just build your own if you were trying to sell them and get them out
today
in the world
like,
faster.
I don't have time to build the actuator facility in America.
I got to spend over $500 million with a rival.
Yeah, I don't know. In other news, Ian Goodfellow is
crazy
sharing more of what
determinism.
I've met him. He signed a book that he wrote on deep learning for me. It's in the Museum of Business History and Technology History. More of what my colleagues and I have been working on in AI for fusion is public now. Why are we clapping? We're announcing a research collaboration with CFS Energy, one of the world's leading nuclear fusion companies, Commonwealth Fusion Systems.
DeepMind is goated.
Is actually crazy. Together, they're helping speed up the development of clean, safe, limitless fusion power with AI. Yeah, awesome to see Google working in fusion. Obviously, Sam Altman's a believer with Helion. We've had a number of fusion founders on the show. It's one of those technologies that's always been 10 years away, but feels less than 10 years. Finally, we are making some progress. Well, what's your fusion take?
I'm very pro fusion, but in other like DeepMind news, apparently Gemini 3 is actually slated for December. So there were some rumors of like maybe next week, but now there's some people saying it's actually
add 30 days to the singularity counter. This is just not going to happen, is it? When is AGI coming? This is the worst news ever.
I don't know, but it will be a nice Christmas gift.
I was saying December 25th. They got it. They got to launch it December 25th.
My kids are getting Gemini.
They got to do it December 25th. You know the VR headsets. They always like rocket to the top of the App Store. That's what I want to see.
My kids are getting a box of tokens.
We can close with Will Benaich potentially. He's got a bunch of stuff. Well, there's a bunch of other stuff.
I just wanted to give it up for Stargate UAE.
Yeah.
It's taken shape. We got a video in here. We should try to pull this up. Led by Cosna, this 1 gigawatt AI infrastructure cluster is a cornerstone of the 5 gigawatt UAE US AI campus in Abu Dhabi and a key part of building the intelligence grid, the digital backbone, enabling secure, sovereign, and I don't know AI because it's cut off, but we can see this video here.
Yeah, very cool. Will Benaich says, if you're a young person interested in going deep on weird things, basically the only good advice is that you should be 1,000x more commercial. Someone will get very rich by monetizing the things you figure out. There's no reason that person shouldn't be you. That's good. Good.
Well, on
Andre Karpathy dropped a podcast with Dwarkesh Patel. It's a banger.
Yeah, I listened to the first like 20, 25 minutes. Yeah. Just a banger so far.
Perfect for the weekend. Go enjoy it. TBPN is off. We do have a diet TBPN product now.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's one quote that I guess Nick was calling out. Nick obviously is more Grok aligned. But he said he was quoting
independent researcher.
He's Grok's most loyal soldier.
Yes.
He was quoting Altman. Earlier, it said 2025 is the year of AI agents.
Yeah.
I think you could still defend that with Codex, but certainly we're not seeing maybe the agents that we were all super excited about, right? Deep research as an agent, coding agents.
I haven't booked a flight with AI yet, I guess. It's like
Karpathy says, I was triggered by that overprediction. More accurately, it's the decade of agents. There's so much work to be done.
Let's go. Humans in the loop for another decade? We got this.
Yeah.
That's
like normal. Right?
What do you think? More or less. You keep being like we're just on track. Super intelligence right around the corner.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's always hard. It's like, what do you mean by agent? Like, what can actually do in 10 years? I feel like
what have agents done for you today?
Wrote me some code.
There you go.
Yeah.
I agree that I think this was the year of coding agents.
It's the year of coding agents.
Yeah, and I think computer use is like getting better and better.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we see with Gemini 3 like much better computer use.
A good example is like when you made the video vibe reel for the Metis list, you were not able to puppeteer Premiere Pro with an agent, and that at the end of the day, that's just like clicking buttons on the computer. Like it could use FFmpeg, it could use control the mouse and keyboard and screen record, and like that agent isn't here. And you should be able to just in natural language talk to an agent that then makes the cuts in Premiere Pro. And I still believe that even when we get there, you'll still need to say, I have an idea to include clips from Cheeky Pint or whatever you picked, or these particular walkouts. But it's not there. It's not generalized yet.
Yeah, but
it's not generalized.
That feels that does not feel 10 years away at all.
No,
that feels like right now I could build a RL environment and do that if I had enough compute in a month.
I just need more compute. Hard. Just more compute. Oh, now you're asking for compute over there. I see how it is. Okay. Well, anyway, have a fantastic weekend, everyone. We will see you on Monday. We love you. Leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and have a great
wonderful
weekend.
weekend.
See you Monday. Goodbye.
Cheers.